it's in the live chat.
Simply put, you're going to have one person, covering a site on their own. That's just going to give a big spotlight to a lot of these players. A lot of pressure. They're on the big screen, so we get to see a lot of those kind of highlight performances potentially on those three-sided maps. And also just thinking about Taeho here a little bit. Still a very efficient, two very efficient picks for Taeho, especially with the fact that the guided salvos, you would utilize them to break into one site, and by the time you get over to another site, it would be recharged, or for that post plant, it would be recharged. So overall, it does seem like things are at least a little bit interesting now with just a little bit of information. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely interesting. One thing that I kind of like here, Mind, is that we're kind of seeing, a decrease in the potency of Taeho and Breach, and those are characters that can be used in very aggressive style compositions. And then we're going on to these 3-point maps, which are very not as defender favored, because you have to kind of divide your forces a little bit more evenly. You kind of have to spread them across the field. So we're seeing a decrease in perhaps the offensive value, but the map pool also kind of decreases the defensive efficacy. So I'm really curious to see how that kind of balances out. Of course, ultimately the character choice, the agent choice will come down to what these teams are most comfortable with. Like I said, I believe we weren't really seeing the full picture from either of these, and with these new Taeho changes, they could just decide to scrap the agent altogether. Maybe go something else that enables a little bit more aggression. I was going to bring up the example of Neon, but these don't necessarily feel like Neon maps. I don't think we're going to be seeing Fracture. Well, I mean, we're not going to be seeing Fracture, but as an example, I would expect to see that there maybe a little bit more than here.
Right. But actually, there's a little bit of a gap. I wouldn't mind Neon on Haven, actually. Neon on Seaside, at least, does actually a pretty good job of splitting open the site a little bit, breaking open some of the usual, sight lines that are on the site. Actually, same thing on A, even though A is a little bit tighter and it might make things a little bit more complicated. There's just a lot of tight corners on that map that could easily be exploited by someone like a Neon, and it's actually the same thing with Lotus. I actually don't doubt that pick by any means. If I'm not mistaken, actually yesterday in Pro Play, I ended up seeing Neon on Lotus. So, yeah, no, and actually we do have our reveal for the third map. It is going to be Ascent. So again, just seems like it's going to be a perennial Valorant game, basically, where again, we're going to the specialty of Valorant, which is the 3 sites. We're going to have a lot of moments where a lot of these players, they're going to have to stand on their own, kind of prove their worth here, prove why they're in the grand finals here. But also towards that third map, we're going to be seeing the map where really everybody knows how to play, where it's familiar territory. It's going to be a lot of, it's going to be very interesting to see adaptations on that map specifically after a long series, and really trying to see where the extra layers are at, where the extra levels are at for these teams. Because if we're making it to that third map and we're back down to Ascent, it's back down to basic Valorant once again, and it's going to have to come down to the mines a little bit, see where, again, those fine lines are. It does seem like both teams are ready at the moment. Not exactly the type of game for us to make any predictions, but Mr. Sir Waltham, have you spectated Valorant before for CEA, or is this your first time?
I mean, I've definitely casted. I've been casting for Valorant for CEA for a hot minute there up mine. So I'm definitely ready.
All right.
Neither of these teams, though, are ones I'm super familiar with. Anybody who watches as long as I've been casting knows that we've had kind of teams, at least under different flag names, kind of with different levels of success since 2022, 2021. Way back in the day, but we are hopping right into it. We are going to be seeing the character selections here. Overall, very excited for this Lotus map coming up.
Yeah, no, we're going to be getting agent select. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. Very happy to see it. If I'm not mistaken, Lotus. So just gotta wait to see what happens. I'm trying to see at least a little bit of info. I can give you guys at least a little bit of insights on Hyperspike. Hyperspike, they are going to be having one particular player at the very top, or at least the one that they're going to be hoping is at the very top. It's their Jet main, at least from what we know, from the little bit of information that we know. For right now, it is going to be the Jet of Shatter needing to step up to the plate. The only map that we've seen was Sunset, so it's not exactly it's not a traditional Jet map, at least I would think. And the fact that that map went so well for that Jet, they went 28 kills on that map. Can't exactly doubt that we really have to put a lot of responsibility on that player kind of to kick things off, because again, unfamiliarity with Valorant just kind of means that you need to just kind of depend on the bullets a little bit, right, on the shooting a little bit. But as we do go through the picks here for Lotus, we already have a couple of picks on your left side.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing XCS lock in that fade. We'll be seeing the same on the opposite side. Freddy going to be locking it in, starting off on the attack as well. Double initiators, it looks like, for both sides. Omen going to be the smokes player there. And I believe it looked like there was a little bit of a hover from the side of Hyperspike for that double duelist, but it's not going to be the case. Instead, both teams, as I mentioned, going to be locking into the double initiator instead.
Yeah, so again, you are looking at Hyperspike, if I'm not mistaken, on the side of Freddy over there. So we have a little bit more to kind of analyze. So again, Shatter again is going to be that duelist that I was mentioning that kind of needs to be that step up for them. Here on Lotus, very good idea to be going with that Gecko right now. And I am just a little concerned on how consistent their flashes are going to be, their entries are going to be. I'm only concerned purely because of the fact, again, you might want a little bit of consistency for the fact that, you know, the rest of your teammates, they won't really know what to expect. However, good for the unpredictability for the other team. It's very cool to see an agent like Fade, where you do have to line up a little bit, where that util can come out at least off-timed. That's really the only off thing that you can really do with that piece of utility. With the Gecko, it is the verticality. As long as they can combine both of those correctly, should be an interesting game, to say the least. Entertaining game, to say the least. Aim Droid on the other side, they certainly don't just have 3 players, yes?
Certainly more than 3. We are looking at the attacking team here. They're going to have a lot of information gathering here. You're going to see the Gecko. The Blind's going to be able to give you a read on the site as well. The Fade Darts going to be giving you some good information. We can already see those information agents kind of lining up towards a mound, whether it's just for a quick orb grab or whether it's something a little bit more deep than that. Shatter carefully peeking around. Has to be cautious, though. That Vise Wall will section them off if they don't execute effectively.
Right. But with the B side being completely open here, technically, you know, it's very tempting. You know, they're taking their time here with the contacts, and that is beautiful from Dinky. Just the fact that he holds himself from showing too many pixels here on site, walking into that wall, just pulling in that bit of information that is going to hold the Yoru over towards connector, but not much ground being gained here.
Oh, and I gotta be honest, I don't like the rotation of the breach from Aim Droid. It looks like they had an opportunity if the Yoru from connector was able to catch the entry. Big stun could have come through. Instead, it's just going to be the Killjoy sectioned off onto site as it fight. Looks like it might begin to break out.
Oh, Appisburg, you gotta feel for him there. But hey, this is all a C-side take at this point. Not expecting the Killjoy to already be through, but it's all on the Vice. It's all on the Vice. It's gonna be Ace White around the corner. Only able to get 1, but that's more than enough for now. It's all gonna come down to 3 here.
Oh, and Crispy has to be very careful. Gave up that early space.
Oh, no.
The trade for trade is not going to work out well for the retakers here. It's just going to be that breach and Fade. The initiators have to try to make something happen, but we're seeing that the spike is going to start ticking down. A nice grab from Dinky.
Yeah, huge from Dinky. And now Crispy Jofu picks down the 1. This could be a huge play here. Here comes Jofu. Flash in the face. Has to pick up 2. My goodness, what an opportunity. And a great chance there. Given only by himself with that flash, but still going to be the win there for Hyperspike.
Yeah, great start from Hyperspike. We're going to be seeing them, of course, be a little bit more forceful moving into this round as they have the anti-eco coming up. Vandals in the hands of Shatter. You were talking here, Upmind, about that. Wanting to be the star player, or at least the mechanically kill feed lighting up player. And I think that we're going to be seeing it here as they decide, oh no, they're going to be switching to the Bulldog potentially.
Cool.
So not the full hero rifles, but a little bit more power still.
Yeah, let's have a little bit of fun, right? Let's put a little bit of firepower behind us. Freddy, Shatter, both stepping up with the upgraded Bulldog. And this is all going to be on the pistols now on this front side. Look at this crunch. 4 players around. XCX, who's all collecting frags. Freddy and Dinky still getting a little bit back. But you got to give it up to these classics, forcing Hyper Spike up against the ropes. But at the end of the day, Ace White standing all on their lonesome over towards that A site. You can see a little bit of a pattern. This Vice is going to be standing as a huge pillar for this team going forward in this game. But for now, there's actually a chance. Look how slow this execution is for Hyper Spike. Ace White with an opportunity on the cross. But Dinky does get the pick back on the head. But okay. I'm liking how close that round was just on the fact that we saw a couple of pistols.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the side of Aimdroid, you're going to be pleased with that. You managed to pull a couple of weapons out, and they kind of played it exactly how you are almost forced to play it when you're down in, an eco round against somebody that has more range than you. You have to be aggressive. You have to try to get up in their face, and hey, hitting them with 4 members of your team at the same time on top of Mound, certainly more favorable than letting them pick you off at long on Ruins.
Right.
Cutting through.
Yeah, but you had to just throw something out, right? Beautiful idea with the 4-man crunch over towards C, and I mean, it just works out right. It's just the right call. You have 3 sites to pick from, basically, and they chose the right one. But this is the big round. This is the big buy. Coming in from Aimdroid. And they are able to hold off the first B take correctly here. Not a lot of utility expended here by Hyper Spike. They do tuck their tail back over towards the A site. There's no presence over on the A site, though. This Vice has not heard anything, but they are going to soon shatter, stomping away.
They do have that blind if they want to pop it. They could potentially get some information, but that tree reveal is going to be giving them a lot of information. The thorns coming out, just slowing down, giving hopefully enough time for the wraparound. But there's a 5-4 member stack up in tree with a nice paranoia coming out. Oh, it's Vice's time here.
Amazing. Ace White gets halted right in their tracks. Big opportunity, but not enough. There needs to be the drop here. There's the drop from the Omen, and here comes Appisborg. Appisborg picks up the first. There's still 4 more to go. Oh my goodness. Knocks 2 more down. Still has a whole lot more to go. 4K from Appisborg. Still has 1 more to go. Dinky, 1-on-2. Is able to get quite a bit of damage onto Apis. And actually, my goodness, picks him through the wall, and Goose finishes it off. And Appa, I want to say, is it Appa? Is it Apis? It doesn't matter how you say their name. They're still on top regardless.
That was way too close for comfort if you're all on the side of Aimdroid. I was talking about you being happy that you got a few kills on your second round when you were just there with the pistols, but now you should be a little disappointed that you suffered so many deaths when your rifles should have theoretically been a lot more powerful, a lot more proficient at handling this team with the force they had. But now we're going to be seeing they're going to be suffering this round. The econ not going to quite be looking in their favor, certainly not enough to buy any Vandals, Phantoms as we move into this 4th round. And I really want to see the eco kind of stabilize for both of these teams, particularly Aimdroid, looking to really have some difficulty here if they don't win this one.
It's taking real slow, though. You can tell that this round's going to take forever here. Hyper Spike just pushing away at these players over towards C. They want to hold rotations, basically. They want to see what gap is good, and Appa does not give them an opportunity. Appa takes down Freddy. So 1 more to go here. Dinky looking for an opportunity, but the burst is happening over towards A at the same time. Beautiful job throwing off the fake and only having 1 here towards A.
It kind of seems to be the story we might end up seeing from the attacking team this entire half. They look like they're going to go to one site and then they pivot or they rotate out and go somewhere else, or reroute their they look like they go to B and then they reroute to C to refocus their efforts. Although it looks like the defensive team picking up on this, although this attacking Killjoy lockdown is going to make it very difficult. Goose in a very rough spot, especially with those swarm grenades.
And Goose has no TP. He is just done for at the moment. But here's the thing. Goose could have fought for the frags. He had 2 frags left to go on his ultimate. Could have fought a little bit more tooth and nail. Could have gotten those ultimates. But Sarah, still the rest of the team waits up. Here comes the opportunity. Dingy and Gene able to get the kills. Janu, able to get the frags. And there goes the frag back. It's all on Janu. Janu, 1v3. And they're gone. You have to give it up for the fact that Aimdroid took their time there on the lockdown, and you really can't do more than that in terms of credit, because it was Hyper Spike kind of roaming around that side a little bit after that lockdown went in. A few too many one-on-ones, not too much of that buddy system going in, and a little bit of a breakdown. Gotta give it up really to the individual efforts, though, for Hyper Spike, if there was anything to really drag them to the end of that round.
Absolutely. I mean, looking at that Yoru though, the fact that the Yoru doesn't die there, that seems so essential to me. You're able to keep that pressure up near the drop, and it just didn't die at all on A site. They were able to let their team regroup and basically push back on the attacking team with just as much force. We're now going to be seeing a little bit more of an aggressive push. Will the pivot come through this time? Once again, remains to be seen, although looks like they're committing at least all the way up to ruins.
Yeah, a bit of a crazy TP there from the Yoru too, but he's gonna have more than enough time to regroup with XCS. This is just pistols here from Hyperspike. Prowler coming in. XCS wants their own Prowler, and by the time the Prowler comes into tree, their teammates are already here surrounding the site too to try to help out. XCS around the corner needs another Prowler, but there goes the pistol. Not even the pistol, the SMG of Jatter. There goes the Stinger, ringing away at the head, and here comes Goose. Goose ripping away at their ultimate and actually creating a whole lot of chaos. Appa almost able to get a frag, but instead Appa goes down through the smoke. Goose finally comes out and is able to get himself one. Still a lot more work to do though. 3-on-3. Goose coming into the site, swinging through alongside Joku. All three players grouped up together. You have the Fade around the corner, and you have Shatter. Shatter waiting for his opportunity. It's all gonna be on the Jet. It's all gonna be on the Jet. Shatter able to get 2. Can they get 3? No! Ace White sticks the defuse, and Shatter just not quick enough, not enough bullets to finish off the round.
That was so close. That was looking like it was going to go in the complete opposite direction. But again, love Goose picking out that Killjoy. Goes into the invisible mode, ready to walk around, do a little bit of recon for their team, ends up getting the Killjoy. When you get that Killjoy, there is no more post plant that your team has to worry about. They can start the defuse as soon as possible and really force the attacking team to now kind of expose themselves to force you off the spike, which didn't even happen. I mean, we just saw Ace White go for that defuse in a hole. Now Goose pushing up very aggressively, saw the shoulder, tries to go for those shots with Dinky. Slowly pushing up here onto C site though. Looks like the mound is going to be retreated from for the attacking team. Not quite committing all their eggs into that basket yet.
Right. I love the pick and prod here from Hyperspike, but you gotta give it up to the fact that they already had the plan in place. Dinky, once they come out and long there over towards A, you can assure that those rotations are basically held.
Coming back.
Those players over there was 3 players over towards that A site. Once that contact comes in for a solid 10-15 seconds, it's basically a guarantee that those players that you saw, they're going to stay there. They're going to wait for a second opportunity. But here comes the exit. Takes a little bit of time, but here it comes. Hyperspike, they're up on top for now. Appisborg escaping. Not actually shooting back a little bit, but beautiful work from Appisborg, period. Goose looking for the jump spot onto the wingman and able to get the wingman. Goose now giving his team a little bit more time. 20 seconds left in the round, but that decay is gonna hurt. Appisborg needs to face on the Omen. Picks on one, picks down a second. Appis, can they finish off the round? Dangerously close again.
That was looking so good. Love the pressure that the Yoru caused by shooting the wingman as the plant was happening. Then all of a sudden the attackers have to re-pick up that spike, go put themselves in once again a vulnerable position. That overexposure can really do some damage. We saw the attackers able to kind of recompose themselves, pick themselves back up, and Hyperspike not too bothered with it by the end of the day, but still gonna be looking to have rounds cleaner than that, although both teams gonna be looking a little worse for wear when it comes to their eco. We did see the Judge come online as well, so both teams gonna be looking to surge here, and another push towards A, but are they aware that A is completely empty?
I mean, they are going to be very aware of it very soon. It's going to be red carpet. It's going to be wide open windows. I mean, man, if anything, there's some fresh cooking on the other side too. Bathroom's totally clean too. That's a nice, clean, free house for you to enter into, guys. Free TV and everything for you to take. Incredible stuff.
Planted.
Hyperspike making their home here on A. Everyone perfectly fine. It's all down to Android. The pistols coming in from different angles, and it's working out. 2 kills over towards long. And now all 5 of these pistols are still alive.
Yeah, and there's nobody to contest those deaths that happened at Rebel, which means that now you get those rifles for They're looking to push in. Freddy does manage to get one, but Goose with the Deadeye able to get a nice shot and making a double on top of Shatter.
It's all on Shatter with the Judge coming in bursting, able to get one, but just the one, not able to do anything with the Judge. And my goodness gracious, thrifty W coming out in the hands of AimDroid.
I cannot get over how well executed that was. It looked so suspect to leave A site so empty and vulnerable, but it looks like the attacking team took the bait for it. Hyperspike more than happy to just try to take the space that they were given for what seemed like free, but it came at the cost of the defending AimDroid basically reclaiming all the space on BNC, then pushing through attacker spawn.
And now Hyperspike, I mean, now they're left in a pretty tough spot in terms of their eco. They finally found a gap. I mean, they just lost 3 rounds in a row right before this. Finally, the round where they think they burst through, where they think they can rebuy. And they end up getting stomped all over the place. But Dinky, he already starts off this next round with a scrappy buy. Starts off real well. They shot off the Guardians, a little bit too much to bite there for the Yoru. But the Hyperspike team now. The players in some pretty decent positions, but those positions are being abandoned right now. The B watch, the C watch, all gone. With the pick that was earlier on A, they are now taking advantage of that space now. If you're AimDroid, I mean, where is this information even coming from? Where are the calls coming from? So many gut checks need to be taken as Hyperspike, they have yet to go really a single round, or really 2 rounds in a row, where they pick a site and they commit to it. XCS, not able to get more than one, and that's going to be the A site, bursted open. However, this is down to a 3v4. This is not impossible here for AimDroid.
Not impossible, but it's certainly not the 3 remaining members would want up in order to make it happen. Appa's able to get one, that home and delivering. Jofu able to help them out as well. Appa's, I think, going with the fake teleport, and it's going to be up to Dinky to try to make something happen. But the Vi's ultimate going to be locking them down into that Sheriff. The defuse coming through, but Ace able to catch them on the swing through the smoke.
No, again, beautiful work on the spikes, beautiful work on the ulti, just trying to get some sort of guarantee out of the round. But even more importantly, again, you kind of got to give that, you can give reason, of course, to Hyperspike. Beautiful shots coming back. You had shots from players who really, we haven't had those opportunities for those players yet. Jofu, beautiful shot coming back from him. Appa, he really was a good player to have in that sort of situation. But it is sort of that opportunity that Hyperspike gave to them. A whole lot of 1v1s, and once again, little scrappy coming off the post plant. These positions on the post plant haven't exactly been cemented, to say the least, for these players. They do need a little bit of a uniform idea when it comes to the post plants, just to prevent that scrappy one-on-one that we ended up seeing out in the open a couple of rounds ago in the middle of the A site, and just that last round in the outside. Boots on the front side, over on A, and it's XCS right next to him to try to hold things off. Hyperspike once again has found themselves cleanly into A, but they've been stopped this time. XCS with a big kill. Sloth Sidney, he comes out with his own frag, but he's gonna have to do a lot more work. Dinky on his own over towards B.
This is actually a very potent spot for AimDroid to be in. They have Spike down, and they know that this is a team that likes to pick up the Spike and pivot with it. They just need to keep that possession. Omen and Killjoy, not exactly the most aggressive characters to make plays with, so.
And what do they have to work with? They barely have anything. It's just Sloth Sid right now who, I mean, if we can get an eye really right now on Sloth Sid, because we don't know about his util on the HUD right now. Does he have ultimate? Yes, he does. That's what he's going for. He's going for the ultimate play to try to pick up the Spike. And indeed, no, he didn't. He missed.
Oh no! Oh, they body blocked. It was against the wall, and they stacked on top of the Spike.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable!
Red.
They body blocked the Spike. He did get the TP off, but you have got to be kidding me. The awareness from AimDroid. Wow. Amazing stuff.
And now it looks like this is just going to be the Spike. So they're just going to be saving, keeping their rifles, preventing those ults from building up for that Vise or Fade if they were to die in that fashion. But you know, you could call that based on how it ended in an uneventful round, but I don't think so. I think we saw some really good plays. We saw a tempo change up coming from the attacking team, Hyperspike, but it just didn't quite seem like it caught AimDroid off guard as much as it needed to. AimDroid looks very ready. I'm talking in particular XCS, just with the mechanical skill and the awareness to get 2-3 kills on site. The Spike drops, and once the Spike drops, it's round for that.
Just incredible how that was already the V formation, because realistically, I mean, that TP, it's sort of a done deal that you can end up picking up the spike. So gotta give it up to the heads up play. Good stuff from Aimdroid. They've clearly been putting in time into ranked, clearly been putting in time into Valorant. And
I don't think Jofu got spotted on that. I think that the Jet knife peeked and looked right.
I mean, it doesn't matter at this point, right? Because I mean, yes, cool that he doesn't get spotted, but at the end of the day, there's no way they can burst onto that site. They see Vice utility. There might be a Yoru on the other side of the screen. And that is a lockdown site, to say the least, and they know it. They're heading over towards C.
They are going to be, but the question is, do they see the Vice utility on C? It looks like they do. Try to go over it. The slots, it kind of gets left in the dust.
Spike
immediately
down.
cleaned up. That's going to be Spike as the Gecko's body drops on the page. Able to quickly recover it. Now we're seeing shots go back and forth.
Shattered still cleanly on site, has an eye on Ace White. Ace White is going down to super low HP, but that's got to be it for the round. Appa, what a frag, and now it's all on Shatter. 1v4, nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go but 6 feet under. It seems the defenders are going to be claiming that one. And I was really hoping for a judge kill. We didn't get to see it highlighted, but it did come through eventually. Jofu was able to get one as they re-entered onto C through that waterfall. And so far, excellent. And this is going to be another one of those rounds where we see the econs kind of equalize. We'll be able to see the attacking team Hyperspike start to buy up, get that kit back in hand. Although they look like they are going to be a little bit worn for some armor, particularly on Freddy. Going to be running those lights. So not fully protected, but as long as you don't get hit in the face with a Phantom, you won't be regretting it too much.
Bring them down.
And now jumping into yet another different approach here from Hyperspike. In the last round, yes, they did go into the east side. Just gonna be the Jet coming in with a bit of a burst with the knife peek. And this time, Aimdroid, they saw again the same play last time. With the peek, they ended up going back over towards C. And this time, the Breach, ready for some util, ready for the Rolling Thunder, ready to halt this take over towards B if they still try to re-attempt it. Goose over on A with a shot over onto Freddy. Freddy bursting out, trying to get himself a bit of alert, but it doesn't matter. The Breach, however, did get called out by that, and that's really all that Hyperspike wanted. They wanted that contact over towards A to pull the rotation, but it doesn't work. Crispy Jofu takes down Shatter. Technically, it doesn't work, but they do have a player over towards B. They're going to leave him there. It's going to be a 2-on question mark here over towards A. These two players for Hyperspike have no idea what the coverage is on this A site. However, that peek over towards site, that does help.
30
and
seconds
indeed it
left.
does. Nobody watching over A right now. Jonu with a pick. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Deki almost able to get it. Goose with the shorty. Jonu needs the shot, and indeed he gets it. Big play from above, and now it's a one-on-one. The timing, Ace White waiting for Jonu to peek around the corner, but Jonu takes his time and takes the perfect shot.
I was about to start hyping up how Jonu had all the utilities still in pocket, still had the wingman, still had the dizzy. Didn't use any of it, just went with a good old-fashioned head click. Got the one shot there. In and done. Just like that, Ace White not able to do too much there, and that was just such an unfortunate timing of the swing into defenders spawn with both Crispy and Goose having their abilities out. Goose going into that dimensional drift, and the Breach, I believe, was going to stun, or maybe use their ultimate onto site. Either way, both getting taken out very early on in this match. Perhaps going to be kicking themselves for that one, but Goose, as we saw last round, getting another good start with that up.
This time in a spot where, again, it's really just Hyperspike trying to take in trying to hold a rotation. And this time it's not doing much. It's only holding a singular rotation, but the other two sites here still populated by 2 players. Here we go. It is Goose. Pinging in a couple of shots. But nobody from Hyperspike really has an idea for the site. They do have, like you said before, full Gecko utility. They have full Fade utility. But the C site covered by 2 players. Not much in terms of the smoke. Slot Sid might be coming up, but that is huge. The Fade ultimate coming in, trying to get some information. Freddy around the corner with a huge prowler, but that Rolling Thunder, the angle of that Rolling Thunder sweeps away everyone from outside. But what? It forces Hyperspike into the site. Jofu does come in from the gate, does get himself a singular frag, but how does Hyperspike come out of that even alive? 2-on-2, Ace White Does have Jonu on the other side. Jonu looks away. The timing is there. Jonu looks back. Ace White does get the kill. Freddy, one-on-one. One shot, but it's a leg shot. Now picks up the rifle. Can he find the head? No, he cannot. Ace White closes out the last round of the half. And what a chaotic way to cap it off.
There were two things coming in there from Hyperspike that were so beneficial to them, even getting the plant down. The first one is the body shot onto Freddy was actually through one of the boxes. So it wasn't an insta-kill. It left them with 20, 30, 40 HP. Still one shot from a Vandal, but they're still able to take that once the spike goes down, hold op for mount if they needed to. The second one was Sloth the Omen actually using the teleport to bypass the Breach Rolling Thunder, not get stunned by it, and then clean up the swings that were happening for his teammates who were stunned. We saw Slothsid get 2 kills off the back end of that, and it's just so effective in minimizing the effect that that Aimdroid was really able to have there at the time. But now we're gonna be going on to the second half. Gonna be seeing a little bit of a change up, a lot more aggressive weaponry, I believe, coming in from the defense.
Gonna kick off the pistol round with a bit of action. Shatter is getting cornered, and the information is there. Beautiful eye there from the Fade. And now, it's just gonna be a single player in the back of C. Hold on now, Freddy looking to help out over towards the switch, and he's able to get 2. And not only that, but the job's not done, but it is actually Ace White alongside Jofu. The re-attack of Mound works out, and you gotta give that to the lurk here. You do have the flank coming in from one of the players from Aimdroid, and now this one's just difficult to really call. Goose is going to be pinging in a couple of shots here on C, while A is going to be perfectly free.
But here's the thing, if you're going to be playing as Goose, you just staying in that position forces the Killjoy to look at you, not able to commit any of her kit towards that A site, any of those nades. That might be good for clearing out those small corners as soon as you would like to get after the spike gets planted. We're going to be seeing Dinky taking it from the defenders spawn here as well with Sloth. Both trying to get nestled in, but the retake's going to be a little bit difficult. Vice has those thorn traps set up in the stairwell, though. Looks like they're... Oh, no, they're actually perfectly separated off. The teleport's going to be coming through, a good indicator where Sloth is, but he manages to get the shot. It's a 2-on-1 type situation for Sloth.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, no, that's real tough. Who's coming in from behind? He has been on the prowl this entire time, and you could almost tell that Hyperspike, they had some sort of eye, they had some sort of paranoia on this Yoru the whole time, but again, great timing, great patience basically coming out from the Yoru. It is going to be Aimdroid that does get themselves on the boost a little bit, trying to close out this map. But again, it's not like Hyperspike didn't have their opportunities. If it wasn't for that eye early on over on and Mound, you would have had a little bit more potent of that crossfire back over from the pistols. And so it's just, again, it's small things right now that Aimdroid are collecting over Hyperspike right now. But again, let's see if the pistols can do anything against these rifles. Shatter around the corner. Does hear the TP. There's going to be a second player there. Rifle from Applesporg. And Appa, my goodness.
I feel like we just tried to see Hyperspike do the same play that we saw Aimdroid do, where they got aggressive on Mound as they were down in that weapon firepower. The problem was they didn't commit enough people. It was just the Jet. The Fade was a little bit further back there to back up, but still going to be costing them that loss. And now with Jianu going down as well, going to be looking spread even more thin for the defenders here as they have to try to figure out now, well, we saw the backup, where are the attackers going? Which site do we anticipate them going to? And it looks like they're going to make more of the right call. A site going to be the one that the attackers seem to rotate towards.
And you can tell that Hyperspike, they're the ones that really, you know, they like this mentality basically on the attacking side where, you know, they like their lurks, they like their fakes, and they're compensating for it. Dinky around the corner, able to get at least a little bit of a pick on to one.
Standing.
Appa,
30 seconds
surely
left.
He gets picked back by Sid,
Spike
but
planted.
Sid not able to get the first shot on an Appa. More importantly, doesn't show his back to the stairs. Very smart play, but still relatively simple. You know, Aimdroid coming out of that one, nobody going down. It's going to be very simple work for Aimdroid going forward, with them being able to revive most of the rifles that they need. If they win this round out, of course, it becomes even more simple. Could be seeing themselves on that 12-4 scoreline without really much contest. Here we go, though. Hype. We get to see a real showcase of Aimdroid's attack side here. You get to see Hyperspike try to pull yet another cheeky defensive side play. What is this? Before they were stacking Mound, but look at this, 4 players over towards A, and it's all chaos now.
Oh, no.
Alpha all collecting frags, and this one is just a tragedy for now. Shatter is fully flashed. Freddy does go down, but still a half decent attempt. Still down to the 2-on-3. There's still a chance.
Still a chance, but now it looks like the attackers are going to be having the better weaponry. They were stuck with a couple sheriffs, a bulldog or two, but now they're all going to be having some vandals. Although Shatter's not too bothered by it. The next CS is going to be the next one to drop. The kill going out. Oh, Joku not able to pull the trigger in time. Dinky able to help their teammate out, but Ace White might have a very excellent wraparound here. How aware is the defensive team right now? They need to win this one.
This is so good. Ace White gets a kill here, and he can dash. But look at the watch. Look at the watch. The KJ! Oh. Dinky! I mean, how? In what world do you expect that flank coming in? But that is just putting all of your eggs into that one basket. If you're going to stay on A, commit to watching the site. Both players proactive in trying to cover that A site, doing everything they can to just make sure that their one objective is covered, which was just to watch the A site, regardless of whether or not the other guy has free range of the rest of the map. That seems simple in concept, but for these players who aren't exactly pro, that is the disciplined play that really is necessary for you to be taking away that grand prize for charity. Here we go, folks. It is yet another big attack for both teams. It is going to be Shatter and Freddy collecting a couple of frags. Apple looking for the peek back, but it is going to be the pick back for Shatter, and Janu collecting another one. Aim Droid all going down in an instant, and we officially have a little bit more of a bowl game. Hyperspike winning potentially 2 rounds in a row, unless we see something crazy here from Ace White.
I gotta be sincere, I don't necessarily see Ace White coming out huge here. It's just a very difficult set of players to pull through against, especially with this positioning. The Jet ready. Oh, but Ace White able to get the shot.
Hold on.
Has to be ready for it. Is, in fact, able to swing on to Ace White. Not quite able to get the spike and relocate.
Yeah, but my goodness. What a round at the very beginning there coming out from Hyperspike. It is, again, a little bit of a raw attempt, and that's sort of what you have to see from this sort of lineup. It's not like you have the Vice where you can throw out some utility to stop that movement, to throw out the gaps that these players are setting up for in their attack, to set up for the crossfires once they get into the right positions. So Hyperspike, basically, they have to pick these players before they get into the right positions. They have to pick them in the first opportunity that they get. And fortunately, in that situation, it works. But you can't exactly trust that every single time. Hyperspike, they're doing it again. 2 players on the front side of C. There is the trade. And more importantly, there is the spike. Shatter is going to abandon it. However, is re-peeking. Is still on the prowl. Is still looking for Appa. Appa re-peeking with the spike. But the spike has been picked up. Both teams back to even strength, 4-on-4.
I thought we were going to be seeing a little bit more of a default, although the fighting at Mound always seems to break out. Whether you like it or not, it's either going to be Mound or Ruins. Oh, but this Vice on Ruins could potentially be lost. In fact, it is going to be lost to Dinky, but big things happening on C site. There's a lot of utility being thrown out. Joku having to take a step back as Dizzy hits him square in the face with a little bit of the Blueberry Jam. Joku trying to exchange the shots with the Sheriff, not quite able to make it happen. Gianni taking the head. Got stuck in a tough corner here. Gets the one, swings a little bit too wide, opens themselves up to Freddy, and that is going to be a 2-player advantage swinging on to Apis.
Yeah, so the risk working out once again earlier on for Hyperspike, and again, you gotta respect them for working within their composition, basically, because on this map, you know, that proactivity or that utility that could come out from realistically 1 or 2 agents needs to come out from a combination of 3 or 4, basically, from Hyperspike. And you can see that attempt now. You can see sort of the buddy system every single round coming up from Hyperspike. And over here on the C site, you're seeing it once again. It's going to be the util from the Gecko, and it's going to be the burst from the 3, the Fade, the Omen, the Jet. But nobody is over on the C site for Aim Droid. But hold on a minute. Hyperspike quickly on the flank. Here they come.
Oh, but the read, the Vise Wall keeps that Jet separated off, and more importantly, gives the heads up to the team. Hey, watch your backs. Very fortunate there, as now it looks to scatter the defense's positioning just a little bit. He's not able to get the teleport. Does get the one shot onto Freddy though. Breach looking like it's going to be coming out, getting the site a little bit more secure, and rough aim there for Apis is able to make the connection onto Gianu. Now it's going to come down to Shatter. It's going to come down to Sloth. Sid not able to make it happen as XCS make sure both those players are nice and buried.
Yeah, and there's the mentality for Hyperspike falling apart a little bit. Again, they put all of those eggs into that one basket over towards that C site, and yes, they come down to that flank. But again, we're talking about an AimDroid team where on the defensive side, they were the ones pulling that same mentality where early on, they might have a little bit of a stack. They might have a little bit of a passionate call, but they need to compensate for it, right? They need to have one person over on the other side of the map. They'll have 3-4 players attacking on C, and they'll have one player putting out a contact over towards A. It's very simple Valorant. It's very simple push and pull tactical FPS. But for the fact that, again, we are talking about some simpler ranked players. We're talking about the fact that the smaller plays, the small concepts are part of the grasp for these players. And as here, Goose, this is a big concept here. TP into the back and kill them from behind. Very easy concepts here. It's the fact that AimDroid, once again, they have found themselves in a bit of a corner. They are going towards C instead after they attempt A.
They will be able to have the spot to get the spike down. The question is, how long will they be able to hold it? That's one thing going to be coming out. And so far, looking like an excellent one for this defensive team. All that's going to remain is XCS. I mean, putting off that ult would be very surprised if they used it. Instead, it's just going to be the wallbang coming in from Dinky with that up right into the gut. Now the defuse will be coming through shortly, and we're looking to see this match a little bit more competitive here in terms of that score line.
Yeah, and this time you got to give it up for you got to give it up for Hyperspike adapting a little bit, you know, coming off the gas pedal in terms of those early plays, in terms of those early traps, trying to catch AimDroid off guard. And again, just depending on the pillars a little bit. This is what I was trying to ramp up a bit in the pregame, in the fact that with these 3-site maps, you really have to put a lot of responsibility on 1 or 2 individual players to hold on individual sites. It's just that Hyperspike, they were putting groups of 3-4 players on individual sites. You know, mathematically speaking, there's going to be a site that's basically empty. AimDroid, that's part of the gamble. If AimDroid finds that empty site, what's the response after that? Hyperspike in other rounds here where they have adapted a bit. They are back down to a little bit simpler of a setup. 2 players over towards A. They have a player over in connector watching over on B also. They have a piece of utility covering that same spot. All angles covered for Hyperspike, but the kills aren't coming in clutch. XCS takes out Shatter, and that's an even bigger one. Janu goes down in connector, and now one more remaining here on the A site, and he runs away, tail tucked between his legs, and that is huge again. Double mark on the very edge.
It looked like they had actually cleared that Omen and Fade before they got marked.
Spike planted.
With a decay, Spike will be planted, and now it's going to be a very tough position. Freddy looking a little bit discombobulated, not sure where they should exactly be focusing their efforts. The shot will be telling the attackers where Freddy will be posted up in, and a nice paranoia coming through. Freddy going to be stuck between a rock and about 4 different hard places in that fight.
Yeah, nowhere to go. AimDroid made their way to 12, 1 away from closing up map number 1, so we can head over to Haven. And again, this is now the game here for Hyperspike. Hyperspike, a team where they've been playing a lot with the passionate calls. Do they make one last passionate call here potentially to try to close out regulation for AimDroid, or is that passionate call going to continue things here? It is going to be 4 players on the outside of A, and it looks like AimDroid are mostly going the same route.
This is going to be a big collision if both these teams just lean full bore into this. Both darts going out. I believe both of them getting scouted. Sloth on that side.
I mean, that teleport is so risky here for Sloth, and Sloth ends up going down for it. This is now Freddy. Freddy, who's been spotted out. He has no idea where to go. Can he get a kill out of this? No, he cannot. The defense breaking down at the seams. And this is now all AimDroid. They have full advantage of this map now. They have full strength. All 5 players still alive here for AimDroid. Shatter, not gonna be able to take down Appa. Knew exactly where Appa was. And Dinky goes down in a heap. AimDroid gonna pick up the first W. That's Google with map number 1.
Yeah, so far, very good map. Very pleased with the performance we saw from both of those teams. Definitely looked competitive. And right now, this is where I'm going to be kicking myself out mind, right? I wish I had remembered which team had picked which map, right? Because that would be a great indicator of, oh, well, Aim Droid picked this one and they were a little bit stronger on it than we would expect, perhaps Hyperspike to see it, to see kind of a similar performance as we move towards that second map. Or maybe I'm just coping and I'm really just hoping that we get a 3-map series despite other commitments we might have. But otherwise, just a great performance from both sides. I definitely want to see how Haven turns out.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Haven is going to be coming at you guys right after the break. Thank you once again for tuning into yet another CEA broadcast. Valorant Charity Championships coming up in just a little bit. Oh, welcome back in, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Valorant Charity Corporate Championships, or Valorant Corporate Charity Championships. There we go. Back live on your screens once again. My name is Upmind. I'm joined here by Sir Waltham. And while we were hearing the sweet sounds of something in the green room, we are awaiting the sweet sounds of Valorant once again. It is going to be our second map coming up, which is none other than Haven. Intro our two teams once again here, Mr. Sir Waltham, because our two teams here in this last map, they actually went a lot closer than we had anticipated, and we got a little bit of a ball game.
Yeah, it went 8-13. I believe it was Hyperspike dropping to Aim Droid on that first map there on Lotus. We're going to be going to Haven, and as you mentioned pleasantly on the first time around here at Upmind, both these maps going to be those 3-site maps. So perhaps operating in a very similar fashion. I'm kind of hoping we get to see Ascent, which would be our third map as kind of that tiebreaker, so we get a little bit more of that fundamental 2-site Valorant play moving forward. But looking ahead, for the recap, Epic Systems are going to be represented by Hyperspike, and Google going to be represented by Aim Droid. Hyperspike going to be bringing in charity of St. Jude Children's Research Center. Fantastic cause. And then similarly for the other side, Aim Droid bringing in Doctors Without Borders. Fantastic causes here. I don't think there's a loser as far as anything goes when charity's involved.
No, absolutely not. And us over here at CEA, we are supported by Amazon Luna for this series, for this tournament. Thank you, Amazon and Amazon Luna, for your support once again of this beautiful tournament, of these competitions held to you by CEA, because again, folks, we are looking at competitions that we don't really think we might not have thought were possible, you know, before the good old folks of CEA came together and mashed their brain cells together. Listen, all I'm trying to say is, listen, I've worked in corporate before. I certainly have thought that, hey, you know, wouldn't it be great if I could, you know, maybe compete a little bit, potentially, maybe prove to myself that I might be the best in the break room. And indeed, I tried. I actually did try a Smash tournament last year in my corporate job, and I won that tournament. So I really do know what it's like for glory. But this is overall glory. This isn't just within your office. This is within offices all over the world. So, folks, let's see where that glory lays here, because, again, Epic Systems on one side, Google on the other, as we're prepared here for Haven, and we do have our picks.
Yeah, and as we look ahead, particularly for Aim Droid, I feel like we're seeing a little bit different of a look. We're going to be seeing that Phoenix, we're going to be seeing that Cypher, and we're going to be seeing that Solo, where previously I believe we saw the Fade, the Breach, and the Vise coming through. So an interesting change up for these two competitions. The double duelists going to be coming in for that Hyperspike, or excuse me, for that Aim Droid team.
Yeah.
Hyperspike going to be running the double duelist as well, just in a different fashion. That Jet Yoru, that Jet ISO. Oh my goodness, my words are slipping all over the place here, Upmind. I'm just so excited for this map as we move in towards Haven. These teams going to be getting nestled up here shortly.
Yeah, I was talking about more or less that potential for the Neon, more or less, and you sort of see that edge with the Phoenix pick. Phoenix also very unorthodox when it comes to competitive play in general, but they do have their uses. It does come in with that wall. It does come in with that similar quick burst sort of coverage onto a site, and you could sort of see again with how basic these comps are at the moment. It really is going to be coming down to that initial burst. Not a lot of recharging utility, not a lot of space gathering utility. You know what I mean? Not in terms of controllers, in terms of smokes. So again, in general, this is going to be a very raw map of Valorant. It's going to be a lot of aim play happening here. So let's see who's got the sharpest aim here in map number 2. Hyperspike on the defensive side, already starting off with a shock dart right into the gap of A. That is going to shock at least 2 or 3 of these players, but it's not like Aim Droid are stopping anytime soon. Still stomping through A long. 2 more players coming out through short. It's going to be Shatter on one side, alongside Freddy.
Yeah, both gonna be, or I guess both teams gonna be nestling into A little bit more comfortably. We're starting to see that Killjoy for the side of Hyperspike slowly start to edge towards that attacker spawn for the wrap-up.
And look at over in B now. Ace White sitting over right outside the B area, but the Tripwire over towards C. This is going to give an opportunity to Dinky. Dinky going to be able to pick down one, gets a headshot onto another, and that's a second frag. Dinky does it all. There is going to be more than enough time for that rotation for Shatter, more than enough time for the rotation for everyone on this team. but they were covering B a little bit. They were at least a bit cautious, as now Ace White, he's able to kind of take advantage of the chaos that C burst gave them. And now Ace White, not able to find any pixels just yet. This is actually going to be a difficult job here for Jofu. Jofu able to find one and able to plant this spike. And look at the positioning here for the Cypher.
Oh,
no. Okay, Ace White is still able. A little scary, just a little spooky to say the least, shaking in my boots. But these defenders should be shaking in their boots as we speak. Shatter, Freddy, I have no idea where these players are, but heads on a swivel, able to find both representatives, and Ace White too far and away to get himself a line of sight onto this spike defuse. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's what kind of hurts the most, is when you're able to clean up the enemy team, but it's after the bell has rung. It's after the spike's been diffused or the explosion has gone off. You feel like maybe if Ace White was a little bit more proactive once they got the kill onto, I believe it was Giannu, on that ISO, wrapping from A to B, maybe they would be in a better position to contest the spike, but just not in the cards for them that round. Maybe looking a little bit better as we move towards this second round, the anti-eco going to be coming in.
And immediately, you can see some cheekiness coming up from Hyperspike too, and the proactivity coming out from the Ares. Janu bursting in a couple of bullets in through mid, but as for now, Aimdroid taking their time on these contacts here, not looking for some sort of universal idea here, some uniform idea just yet. They're leaving Spike all the way back in spawn. They're trying to see what these contacts can gather and try to go from there. Here comes the Killjoy around the corner. Dinky not able to spot out the Omen. They do get that information though. Appa did walk right over a drone. But as of right now, this is really just a waiting game. The waiting game is going to go in the hands of Hyperspike for now. Shatter goes right into Ace White. Jofu around the corner. Goes down to Sid. As it started to get a little bit dramatic, but only a little bit. Goose gets a kill onto Dinky. Garage is going to get bursted. This is going to be a big kill for Janu. Indeed, he gets it. That double tap is going to help. Here comes a burst from Appa. Appa, nothing. It's actually XCS. XCS gets the kill. Sloth Sid does collect the kill back onto Appa, but that is everything. Mission accomplished here in this round for Aimdroid. Doesn't matter if XCS does anything here. 2 kills alongside the spike plant. You forced Hyperspike to rebuy a little bit going into the next round, and you got some money in your pockets here in the form of the spike plant. Can't complain about that round by any means for Aimdroid.
Another thing to kind of pinpoint here as well, I believe Slotsid bought up some light armor. Having taken damage, they're now going to have to rebuy up that armor, so that's going to further damage the eco of Hyperspike just a little bit. Aimdroid's still far and away going to have the better weaponry, have the better kits. Moving into this as well, that Phoenix ult coming online so quickly. Able to just get in there, get some early entry, maybe destroy some Killjoy utility if they decide to luck into that B site with the alarm bot. And it looks like an aggressive defensive hold from the side of Hyperspike. Might be scouted out with that sort of guard. Oh, nice shot coming in.
Great shots coming in general period from Hyperspike, as there's 3 kills already for him. Freddy taking down XCS through the wall. You still had the shot coming in from Shatter off the Outlaw, and this is all just breaking apart already for Aimdroid. 2 players remaining. Both boxed in. Dinky's gonna have a line of sight with the tripwire in his face, and he does not care. He's going for the second. My goodness, Hyperspike. I mean, it is a complete lack of investment going into that round. They barely bought anything in terms of an upgrade, and they come out of it with some free rifles on the ground in the 3rd round.
Hyperspike are looking very good at kind of commanding the space here, and it's what we saw on their first few rounds of the attack last map on Lotus. We saw them get very aggressive. They're a little bit more committal on their defense to what lanes they want to push in hole. But this time around, they're still finding some great success, especially on that A long angle, and even sewers when they get the jet navigated up there. Not going to quite be the case here. They're going to be looking a little bit more default, a little bit more evenly positioned amongst all 3 sites.
Shadows traveling. There they are.
This is all going to be on Dinky. Dinky gets dinked down by Apple. My goodness. It's all down to 1 more here on this site. It's all Janu, and Janu is gone too. How does Aimdroid collect these here? Incredible use of the util to try to drown out the site a little bit. And realistically, you got to put it on the Phoenix, boxing out the players a little bit behind the right corner of C. And this is a big recollect here for Hyperspike. They have the utility use, they have the players here. What can they do? Here comes the burst, but there goes the smoke in their face. 3 players on the other side, and even Goose has a one-on-one against Lawson, and his SMG bursts through the rifle. That is all going to be Aim Droid in this round. Shatter with no chance. All 5 players alive for Aim Droid. That is absolutely huge in terms of a switch up here for Aim Droid. They just lost 3 rounds in a row. They were about to lose a 4th. They invested a little bit going into this round. They would have been broken a little bit in terms of that economy. But at the end of the day, Aim Droid's still in this game.
I feel like we saw XCS trying to look for a better weapon there, trying to find something instead just stuck with the Stinger in hand. Still won't be too bothered with that. I mean, you were able to rob Hyperspike of 3, 4 rifles at the end of the day. That's going to help pad your pockets just a little bit. We can see all of them, with the exception of XCS, spending less than that 2K mark. Not going to be the same story for the side of Hyperspike. However, they are flush enough with cash to be able to afford it. Worth keeping eyes on. Shatter going to be having that op, and they might get nestled onto that C sightline, giving them a long-range lethality that very potent in this spot.
And Shatter's been waiting for the opportunity to pull out that big green. The operator comes out in the hands of Shatter. Excuse me. A lot of slip-ups there. I was even thinking about the non-child game for a second. But here we are. Aim Droid down to 4 as we need a bit of a readjustment. And the readjustment ends up right into the safe hands of Janu, or not so safe hands of Janu, depends on how you look at it. Janu with a huge kill, Jofu in a one-on-one potentially, as he's collected that map control of the mid side. Anybody goes through, they're gone, but there's no reason for Hyperspike to go through. It really is just Jofu trying to be cheeky here and trying to collect an offhanded kill, and that's exactly what he gets. Big kill off of Jofu, but there is still so much work to do.
And how about that internal timer from Jofu? Here's the ISO shield go up, has that countdown ready to know when that battle is safe to be taken, and swings accordingly into it, getting the kill effectively. I was going to give some huge praise for the resilience of Gianni to get that first kill without using the shield, but it ends up ultimately going to waste. Now it's looking like a 3-on-3 battle. Dinky limping away a little bit, but nestled on to see if the spike goes down on A. It's going to be a tougher retake coming in from Hyperspike.
Another team flash, XCS. XCS gets double flash, but it still ends up working out for Appa, who gets the kill back. Jofu needs this play. Trying to get that spike. 5 seconds, 4 seconds, has enough time to plant, but doesn't get behind the wall. Oh, Jofu, you can't exactly blame him, but 1 second separated him and the necessary time for him to get that spike down. Could he have gone behind that wall? Perhaps. But at the end of the day, he did what he could just to try to get that objective through. And with only 30 HP remaining, there's the final frag.
And a lot of times when we see those ends of rounds due to timer expiration, I feel like a lot of times you give credit to the opposing team for, you know, using the abilities that kind of dragged that out. I feel like I can't do that. I feel like I have to acknowledge Aim Droid just seemed a little bit sluggish. They didn't seem like they really wanted to commit to any particular site until it was just a little bit too late. Although that final stall on point certainly does have its merits. Now going to be a dimensional drift coming through from the Yoru. Getting some good sight lines, has to be very careful. Goose doesn't want to suffer at the hands of Shatter, but does.
That was a huge play from Goose, though. He does, yes, from Shatter, excuse me. Shatter ends up kind of bursting open that back line a little bit, but okay. There goes the Hunter's Fury, and here comes the one-on-one. The kill contract coming in, and it doesn't go in the hands of the ISO. Appa wins. Slot does take away Appa as he respawns, and it's now all down to Ace White, and Ace White is done. So that one's just a little bit of a tough one, where Aim Droid, they had that full line of sight, but you got to give it up to Hyperspike. They utilized the kill contract in the hands of Janu, the triple swing coming in from the back into C. It was just fundamental enough to give every single person a chance, basically against everyone was basically in a 2-on-1 in that sort of round, except for the ISO, and even then, once the player comes out of the kill contract, they're dead. Good stuff from Hyperspike. Another big round coming up there, Walton.
Yeah, I was exactly about to comment on that exact same play from Giannu. The ISO coming out and hitting the ultimate even if you lose that, you give your team enough time to swarm where your enemy will be spat out once they, you know, come out victorious, and they, unlike you, won't have that bullet shield protect them from one shot. Instead, it's going to be another rush on to C from Aimdroid, trying to get nestled in onto point. Gianni, but have you seen that smoke come out, having to hold back for just a moment while their team gets regrouped? Perhaps not something they're necessarily upset about. They'd rather take this at a full 5.
Not at all, but you got to look at the ultimates here for Hyperspike. They do have that lockdown ready to go in the hands of the KJ, but will the KJ survive? No, they will not. That was everything here for Hyperspike, and now they need to scramble. Here come 3 players into the back from the defensive side, including one more from Garage, and that player from Garage does everything. Slot takes away the 1, but Ace White still with another kill coming out from Long. All 3 players from the attack side in the Long side, and now it's all on Slot Sid, who can't do anything about it. Hyperspike, yes, try as they may, they had the right setup, but you gotta give it up to Aimdroid. Proactivity is the name of the game. They're coming in from the lurk into the mid side. Everyone over towards Long. I mean, hey, you have 3 players in Long. Not all 3 players need to watch the same angle. One person goes on a little bit of an adventure, and that adventure sure is great.
The true adventure is the frags we get along the way.
Exactly.
Now we're going to be seeing the defense kind of pivot up, maybe taking a little bit more heed into how Aimdroid has been playing the last few rounds. Sova, Jet, both going to be posted up on that C site, and the Killjoy going to be committing most of their kit to A, so that solitary player, if they go down early, could really reveal a weakness on that A site, especially with this neural theft coming out.
And A side's going to be completely abandoned, but we've been waiting for this lockdown from Dinky. Dinky, wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Cheeky. I like the attempt.
We'll see it here. Yeah, the Killjoy lockdown is going to be coming out, but the Sova...
Super early. Wait, what?
Quick to respond to it so it can take out that lockdown without the fear of A-Site getting absolutely swept. Get to hold your position, especially the Sova on site still.
Yeah, and these players on Aimdroid, they don't need to fight the site at all. They need to wait for this flank, but hold on a minute. Shatter. Thought he had himself a double frag there, but he ends up finding himself a clone, and Goose is able to take out Slot Sid. Freddy has no chance against the Flash, and Ace White is still able to get the kill from behind onto Dinky. So Ace White, he was there basically this entire time. The one kill that happened in the middle of site, that was the only thing that Aimdroid needed to give up there. Incredible stuff from the rest of the players to all back up into their corners, back up into a safe angle into short, back up behind the smokes over into long. You know you have Ace White coming in. You know you only have one person on site who has a pretty good head on his shoulders, pretty good head on the swivel. 5-3 scoreline. We're back on the road here for Aimdroid, who currently has 2 rounds in a row, looking for a third, most obviously because of the guns here in the hands of Hyperspike.
Aimdroid was looking a little bit wobbly, but now unshaken. So they start to pick up and close that scoreline. A nice headshot coming in. Not quite enough from Dinky to make it result in a kill. Ace White going to be walking away with 5 HP and perhaps a rosary, as they'll be saying their prayers after that one.
Surely they barely come out of it with their life. And unfortunately here, though, for the defensive side, they're not able to kind of follow up on that quick pick that happened earlier onto Ace White. Ace White's still alive. Players coming out of Long, dead. But there's still 2 more to come out of C Long. Surely they don't expect both of them, but both of them are basically going to peek out at the same time. There goes the Marshall. The Marshall only able to get 1. Dinky from behind. They don't know about the Omen. They actually don't know about Sid. Good stuff from Sid. And Dinky is still there.
Wow.
Wait, but that actually...
Oh, no.
That dragged the players away from Dinky. But Dinky picks up a Phantom. How many kills can he get here? Picks up the 1. Has a second opportunity, but nothing. This leaves... so much work to do here for Sloth Sid. 22 HP. Does have a TP. He does have the double smokes. But my goodness, Sloth Sid. 22 HP, and he can only hit headshots.
Oh, but I don't know if the Killjoy made the call that the Phantom was on their body. Dinky could have had the opportunity to communicate to Sloth Sid, hey, you might have a better weapon shot here. Although time is certainly a factor. 2 members remaining, and... both kind of putting the eggs in the basket of him coming through either that main entry or from the C link. Phoenix could have gotten swept up. Instead, it's going to be Sloth Sid pushed away. Appasport getting their 4th for the round.
Good stuff as Aimdroid. Again, just getting exactly what they wanted out of that round. They were able to sort of deflect the drama in the early round from Hyperspike. But yeah, realistically speaking, you are seeing an aim droid team that is disciplined. I mean, the fact that they felt the pistols, they felt a little bit of that danger coming in from that long side, and they still keep an eye over towards C. They still keep an eye on all of those extremities that could be exploited by the defensive side. Again, it's just at this level, you don't expect that high level of discipline, that high level of proactivity, but we are seeing it. We're seeing two teams that are cutthroat right now in the pursuit of trying to get that first place.
Vicious and Shatter. Speaking of Vicious, this op line will be cut a little bit thin. Although tempers from these teams. It's going to be the duck back behind the wall as the
He's got to
Owls.
take this down. He got it.
Oh, unrevealed then.
Perfect.
Excellent team play there from Shatter.
I mean, incredible. Shatter coming in with a shot, and now here comes Freddy with his own off angle. The little 1-2 combo over on C and the off angle over on A. That gives 2 free frags early on, but Freddy not able to tuck himself back into A. So it was just a free trade really for this team. But this is huge here for Hyperspike. 2 players gone. Goose is somebody who can really throw a wrench into the works. Jofu, Ace White, XCS, not a lot of util to try to make their way onto a site to try to cover up a site, but Jofu has everything he needs. He does have his ultimate, he does have the wall, he does have double flashes, but Shatter has an op, and it's right in the face of XCS. Jofu trying to go through, does he pull out the ultimate? Here he comes, and Jofu just gets trapped in by the ISO. Kill contract up, kill is gonna go through for the Phoenix, and Ace White with a huge kill, but not able to save Jofu from Sloth Sid, and Ace White has more than enough time now in this 1v2. Sloth Sid only has a flash alongside a smoke. That, oh, those mollies are actually perfect. Dinky going for the pick, 1-on-1.
Oh,
and it still goes the way of Hyperspike.
That was so tense. As soon as Apisborg goes down and you no longer have those smokes to minimize the off sight lines, I start sweating a lot more for aim droid.
Oh, never mind. I thought Sloth Sid was doing like a victory lap or something. I'm like, oh wait, hold on. That's an operator. That's important. Go ahead.
It's the pickup. It's the tactical pickup. You gotta break the bubble as well, of course. But no, without those smokes, I was really struggling to see the value that aim droid would start to get on those pushes, especially when they gave so much time for Shatter to relocate with that op in hand and get into that nice nestled high ground. You don't have those smokes,
right?
And really makes it difficult to push those longer angles.
But now Hyperspike might be overthinking things a little bit. Look at this early setup. Nobody over towards C. This Killjoy is going to have a lot of responsibility on their back.
They sure will. You have those long ranges where if you can get a good feeling that your opponents are coming down there, you could potentially do quite a bit of damage. Teleport coming through. Turret taken out. Some swings coming in, but Dinky not bothered by the blind. Goose getting taken down. Excellent start for the defense here, but they do eventually route off of this site, allow the attackers to have the potential to get the spike planted.
Spike planted.
That's the perfect timing with that clone, though, coming in from the Yoru. I mean, that clone coming in at literally the same time where that peak would have come in. It still works out, but here comes the retake. Here comes Apisborg taking down John Hoop, but the trade comes in immediately. Shatter with a double frag off the op. That is a retaking op, getting a double kill. Ace White around the corner, looking to sweep up. Shatter picks up a rifle instead and takes down one more. 1v2 for Aim Droid, and it is all Shatter. 2 kills coming out to open things up with the operator, with the scoped weapon. Picks up the rifle and sweeps up the last 2. Hyperspike not only winning in fundamental fashion in the last few rounds, but this one, you see the spotlight play of their duelist. The individuality coming out from Shatter that we were expecting.
Excellent performance so far, and we are looking to head into the last round of the half. So if there's going to be any funky, wonky type plays, I'd love to see them come through from Hyperspike here on this defense, or from Aim Droid on the offense, perhaps. But looks like we're well on our way to another 8-4 half, as we saw there on Lotus the first time around. It's going to be Freddy immediately trying to stifle out any aggressive push into A, but I mean, not aggressive enough to stop Goose from pummeling Gianni.
I know exactly.
Apparently not. Johnny was in such a good position, such an aggressive position, and it doesn't work out. Speaking of aggression, Dinky in the double doors, getting called out for their peak, and Jofu picks up the frag. Information getting taken now. Ace White around the corner, one-on-one against Freddy. And Freddy wins that one out instead. Esports has exactly who he wants on the other side of his screen with the paranoia, but that doesn't work out. Freddy doesn't do it again. No, he doesn't. But Freddy has done everything in his power to make this round possible for Hyperspike. And indeed, it's happened. It's a 2-on-2. And this is so difficult here for Goose. But look at this positioning here. Goose now up in heaven. Is now just throwing things off, but here comes the help. XCS is on the front line. If XCS goes down, it's real tough for his teammate, but never mind. 1v2, Slosted isolates the one. However, from the high ground, Goose has the better angle, and Goose, a gust of wind could take him off his perch, but instead he stands tall from the balcony and is able to give Aim Droid one more before the half is over. 7-5. It's almost as even as it gets for a Valorant half, but Hyperspike just slightly far and away.
What a good half so far. Definitely looking to see more of that aggression. I feel like we did see quite a bit, although there were some times where I felt like the play was perhaps a bit slow coming in from Aim Droid, or perhaps not slow, but they pivoted quite a few too many times, and they had to disrupt spike plants where it got down to 10 seconds. I believe we saw one happen because the spike was actively being planted with no time left to stop and reset. So hopefully we get to see them put that kind of reverse pressure here on Hyperspike. Moving ahead, as you mentioned, 7-5. Great start for Hyperspike. They want to keep the momentum up.
Look at the attack here for Hyperspike. All 5 players on that front side. Excuse me, it's 4, but Aim Droid, he does have 3 players here in this back side. But what is this from the Phoenix? What was that? Jofu just going right into that front side, trying to get somebody running away from short. But instead, Hyperspike recollects themselves back over towards long. B is still being watched right now, but not only watched, it has a tripwire right in the face of the Killjoy. It's all just difficult here for Hyperspike. They're retrying a site where, again, they got stopped immediately. And it doesn't look like Aim Droid is switching up that coverage.
Does not. They are keeping steadfast on that A site, waiting for the team to gather. Killjoy still holding that mid at B. Not sure if they're aware of the trips there, but if not, it's going to slow any further pivot they could potentially make. They might be aware of that Omen and just wait for the Omen to make sound cues to pivot off. But so far, very fundamental coming in here from Aim. Not going to quite be enough, though, as 3 kills go in the way of Hyperspike. A great start. Joku diving out, able to get the one, prevents the plant as well.
What a hero. Jofu from the top ropes collects 2 on his way down, and now he's going for so much more. But this is perfect. Discipline in an off angle. This is insurance. Unless the peek comes in from Dinky. Dinky gets the frag. There goes the swing from the Cypher. But it's Dinky. Somehow escapes the snakes in the tall grass, somehow makes his way through, finds both players hiding behind the corners, is able to win the 1-on-2. Unbelievable. Hyperspike finds the first round in the second half and is looking for their first map. Aim Droid on the other side has the first map under their belts. We're looking for a map 3.
You know what, man, that's on me. I said I wanted another round that kind of came down to the buzzer, came down to those very last seconds. I thought Aim Droid would have it in that situation.
You got exactly what you wanted. Incredible, incredible. Speaking of incredible, let's keep watching this incredible Valorant. It's a Yoru around the corner trying to take down Janu, but Goose is getting overwhelmed. Oh, Shatter, hello, from above, takes down Ace White. I thought for some reason it was Janu that got that kill, but no, Shatter is just better right now. Dinky takes down Jofu. Now only 2 players remaining here on this defensive side. We have to turn the tempo down a couple notches, a couple BPMs. It is Apple alongside XCS, who really, they're just trying to poke and prod at the eco, at the economy of Hyperspike. But hell no, are they going to be poking at the round? Absolutely not.
Probably best to play as a team.
They will be holding on, Hyperspike will be holding on to that Phantom, so bringing a little bit more into equilibrium the armories of these 2 teams, although Aim Droid no huge surprise there. We're going to be seeing rifles in hand firmly. A very similar story for their opposition here, except those rifles will be Bulldogs and a Guardian. You typically don't like to see those in the matchup versus Vandal Phantoms.
It's going to be a quick burst. Hyperspike putting all of their eggs into one basket. 5 going towards that C site. It's going to be 3 players. Let me say that again. 3 defensive players here on the C site for Aim Droid. And they are not going to see a damn pixel. They're not going to see a damn thing. It is going to be the rotation coming in for a Hyperspike over towards an A site that only has a single player. However, it is layered. XCS, he can go for this first angle. He can go for this first watch. He can try to get that first pick, but then he has plenty of angles behind him to try to cover things down. However, not much utility to cover things. He is able to get the first frag. He tucks his tail behind the corner. He's looking for more, and now he has a smoke in front of him. Love this work here with only a single player to work with here on this A site. The fear that only a single person gave was enough for Hyperspike to get stopped in their tracks, give enough time for a rotation over onto the A site.
Yeah, I feel like Aim Droid is using their kit fantastically. We didn't talk about it, but when the ISO shield goes out, the Cypher Cage immediately in front of it, so that when it passes, if anybody's behind, you're going to hear the scan. The Omen smoke coming up to prevent that Sova from getting pinched into the corner, allowing that safe rotation to come through. Excellent usage of the smokes there. And, I mean, we're seeing it come through in full effect here. It's just going to be the 1 kill so far. Paranoia, vulnerable coming out. I don't believe either of them hit Goose, though.
What? It hit Goose! It hit Goose! Goose was completely blind, and he got that first kill totally blind. You have got to be kidding me, Goose! That's a round going towards Aim Droid. And I mean, at the end of the day, still a little bit predictable of a finish considering how the rest of the round went. However, that Paranoia coming in, that was their last chance at glory, and Goose completely locked that one away. 9-6, still a chance here for Aim Droid.
Placing alarm bot.
Very close to how we expected that with the weapon powers kind of online. Now going to be looking very equalized here. These teams going to be going toe-to-toe, tooth-to-tooth when it comes to what they're holding in their hands. Very aggressive down into sewers, and Shatter going to be taking advantage of that. Goose the first to drop.
XCS is going to be the only player remaining here on A. Aim Droid on their defensive side, down to only a single player holding things down. Jofu looking to crack things a little bit. Indeed he has. Cracks through the defense, finds himself a single frag, returns things back to the even strength, but they have no idea where this attack is going. 1 single player was spotted over in mid, sure, but what is this? What is this? The Cypher, Ace White, makes his way into the back line. He has the spike. He has the spike. Janu, Ace White for the spike, and the spike is won back by Janu. Janu needs to run. The defensive players smelling the spike, going towards the spike, doesn't work out. Instead, Hyperspike, 3 players remaining. They have the advantage going into the rest of this round. However, Apple looking to cut it down a little bit. Here comes the Sova versus the Omen, but it doesn't work out. XCS 1-on-3.
It'll be very tough for XCS. They did have Aim Droid, that is, did have the advantage of knowledge where the spike was probably going to be planted beforehand. Not going to be so this time around. Freddy able to just take the swing, anticipating XCS down that long angle. And as I mentioned a few rounds ago, nice easy shot, able to funnel them right into a nice little zone of fire.
And again, just such a chaotic round coming out in that last one, but it is Aim Droid slowly getting more and more aggressive and slowly starting to get exposed for it. Hyperspike thanking their lucky stars that these one-on-ones that they've been finding these off angles in have been going well. It's simple as that. If those initial one-on-ones just don't go towards the side of Hyperspike, we're seeing a totally different game because the ideas are there for Aim Droid. They got the cheekiness, they got the cheesiness, but can they close out the frags? Here we go. Hyperspike. They got 4 players coming over towards that long side. It is going to be the Sova on the front side. Goose is going to get taken out for the kill contract, but this is still huge for XCS. XCS needs a frag. He is indeed able to get it. The kill contract is going to go up, but they have no idea what the kill contract is. However, lost one-on-one on the ISO. Omen alongside Phoenix, the only 2 remaining as the frags ring out in the middle of sight. Hyperspike. They can't be safe just yet. Appa. He is going to interact here, but he's not going to have a teammate to go with him. Jofu is going to take his time coming back over towards spawn, and Appa is just looking for a one-on-one, and indeed, I think he found it. He did find Dinky, if I'm not mistaken, but this is a save from Aim Droid. Jofu only has a judge to really work with here, too. This is This is desperate stuff
Last player
from
standing.
Aimdroid.
Oh.
Trying to cut down on the eco a little bit here, but my goodness, Hyper Spike. That's as confident of a round that you're going to see from them. Aimdroid, plenty of presence on site, and Hyper Spike still not giving them a chance.
I do wonder if that was a bit of tunnel vision or single focusedness coming out of Appas, because we just saw them looking towards that sewers route. Didn't necessarily see them coming, considering any other angles, whether it be that inner corner underneath hell, or within hell, rather, or long. Just kind of really trying to keep eyes towards that one particular spot, and that's exactly why we were able to see the swings so effective from Freddy come out from that inner corner on A site. Now, the defensive team's looking to favor B just a little bit less, and I think that's a fair option here. We haven't really been seeing the attacking teams prioritize that in the start.
We did see, once again, a little bit more util coming out from Aimdroid in the top of A main, just trying to maintain themselves steady in terms of their presence, in terms of the conditioning over in that area, and it doesn't seem to matter. Hyper Spike slowly inching their way to A, and Ace White, he is not going to spot anything until they are too far deep into A site for a real reaction to come in. This smoke is going to come in right in the face of the Cypher. This is not an opportunity for the Sova either. Smoke in his face. Plant's gonna go down. Not yet. Hunter's Fury takes out Slothsid. 1 kill down. Still a lot more to go. The smokes are dissipating. The smokes are down. Plant coming in, but this could be an immediate response from Aimdroid, but they do not burst in. It is Goose around the corner with an op, but if Goose finds a single frag, he has got his dimensional drift, and he can start to invade those back lines. Here comes Appa. Appa alongside the drone, not able to do anything. John around the corner with a frag, but there's Goose. Goose now with the rifle, not using the dimensional drift, still getting a frag, still getting huge progress here on site. Dinky, Freddy with the crossfire, and it works out for now. There goes the frag that they need. They were able to take out Jofu, who's on his little bit of a clone, but here comes Freddy. 1-on-2 around the corner. Jofu finishes it off. It was a little bit of an opportunity for a clutch there from Hyper Spike, but instead, you gotta give it to him. Here's the thing, Aimdroid, they had an ultimate, a huge ultimate, and they opted not to use it the whole time. That keeps the players far away from those front lines.
I think also Aimdroid choosing to hold off on that ultimate was largely a result of how little time they felt like they had. They had a lot of pressure. Goose needed to feel like he was a active presence, an active threat in the immediate. One thing I'll tell you though, and I really wanted to comment on this, one thing that gave me more anxiety than any of that is the one tripwire on A site that didn't get broken despite the fact all 5 members from Hyper Spike were on site actively. Everybody managing to avoid it. However, Shatter not managing to avoid the death this time around. A great start for the defense. It's going to be Aimdroid once again on the right foot.
Oh, this Phoenix is going to have a whole lot of damage right in front of him, but he instead takes out Janu. He has a second player right next to him. Appa with some support with the wall right in front. Nobody wants to burst through. That is all Phoenix. That is all Jofu to keep this team ahead in this round already. And not only that, but another frag coming out right in the middle of mid. That is all Aimdroid right now. That is all Jofu in that mid side, who already has 2 kills for his ultimate.
Smoke's coming up, perhaps a little bit of a misdirect here. They try to enter through Garage. Crispy Jofu able to get their 3rd after that ISO kill. It peaks a little bit early before the reload is finished. Sloth more than happy to take advantage of that. Now going to be swinging into Garage, but also looks away just a little bit too early. Apis able to get the shot through the wall after landing a couple in the chest. No success here for the attacking Hyper Spike. Instead, it's going to be Aimdroid bringing this to 3-round difference.
Keeping the game close. Hyper Spike. We're only 2 rounds away from taking away their first map.
That goes there.
Now it's been Aimdroid now. 2 rounds in a row. 2 very difficult rounds in a row now where Hyper Spike, they do take up advantage. They do take up some sort of early attack. But Aimdroid able to hold things back. The fact they won that last round is absolutely incredible. The fact that Jofu was able to drag themselves forward, even though he was in an off position, is huge. But this is all Goose. Look at the burst coming into the C site. It's fast, and Goose has no chance, but they have no idea about Jofu. Jofu, he's going to hold on to this position, not for a long time. He's able to just get one, and the lockdown is going to hold on to this site for a good while, but not for too much longer. These defenders, they are a little bit disconnected here, to say the very least, but it's not exactly impossible. Here comes the first wave of frags for them to get. 2 players around the corner. The op has been taken away. A couple of rifles in the back line. A couple of rifles everywhere for this team. Aimdroid, they have Appa coming out from garage. XCS able to get his own frag, but Ace White goes down. 2 players remaining. Appa and XCS. Appa in the middle of the smoke, looking to play with their heartstrings, looking to play with the paranoia that the Omen usually gives, but it doesn't happen. XCS 1v2 almost makes it happen. A 3-on-5 from Aimdroid converted into a 1-on-1, and it just wasn't enough.
Not quite gonna be a match point for Hyperspike here. So close coming in from Aimdroid. One thing I'm a little bit wary of, Hyperspike committing that Killjoy ultimate after they already had the site locked down, secured, and we're still probably have been waiting for Aimdroid to make a lot of rotations anyway. I feel like a lot of the times we see these teams, these 2 particular teams I'm referring to, whenever they have to go in for retakes on the defensive side, they really struggle to get the right tempoing that they need there. And because of that, I think you could hold on to the Killjoy to really re-engage onto the site, say, in this round, round 21, if we were looking at it more futuristically. But instead, not going to be the case. It's going to be a little bit more of a slow play. Not too many ultimates online for the attacking team, that is. Defense has almost the whole slew.
XCS, though, almost dropping his full suite of utility in that 1-on-1 that his teammate also found himself in. Shatter finding 2 pieces of big information back over towards B, but look at the proactivity. Aimdroid, player over towards C long. There's a player in garage. They have the information they need, but they're still not going to go over to A in time. It is going to be the burst in.
It's you and me.
Tripwires don't get the information. Ace White has been held instead in the kill contract. In the 1-on-1 goes towards the way of Janu. Aimdroid now down to 4 players to try to drag this game into overtime. To try to keep dragging this game forward, to try to make this comeback happen. But hold on a minute now. Again, Goose, Dimensional Drift is live. This is going to be the catalyst. Can he get into the back lines? Can he get into long? There's a player over there. Jofu's going to get taken out, and so is XCS. There's Goose. Goose. Appasport takes him out. They know that long is being covered, but Appasport gets the frag. Goose with a big one. Goose coming in with a shorty, but he's already getting exposed, and that has got to be it. Goose goes down as his teammate is down from above. Hyperspike has pushed this one to a map 3.
Another great example of what I was talking about earlier. The post plant seems so powerful for whichever team holds it. If you're having to retake that site with both of these compositions, it feels like it's a matter of how long it takes, as well as the amount of utility that gets drained on top of what members you might have already lost while the team initially took site. So difficult for these teams to come back and reclaim those sites with any great level of success. Although, you know, we look ahead, maybe that starts to change in the storytelling of our series here.
Yeah, and I was trying to intro out this map with, again, just pay attention to the aim duels in this one, because simply put, the utility is not going to be there for either one of these teams to really be that big of an effect. Or if it does have an effect, you already know that player is pretty far and away the best player in this series. But that simply does not happen. The levels did not show completely on this map. It had to come down to the aim a little bit. And Hyperspike, in the map where it comes down to the Mexican duels, they come out with the W. Perhaps in the map before, maybe you could give a little bit more of that tactical edge towards Aimdroid. But now we have come to a little bit of a fork in the road. Whether it comes down to the aim, whether it comes down to the tactical ability, these 2 teams are down to 1 more map, are down to even. So let's see what happens, folks. Map number 3 is going to be coming at you guys right after the break. Stay tuned to see who takes away the grand finals. Ladies and gentlemen, the Valorant Corporate Charity Championships has come to a head here in spring 2025. Map number 3 is here on the line, and we are done talking about these three-sided maps. We're done talking about this whole tactical mind warfare that we got going on. Let's talk about frags. Let's talk about some good old-fashioned Valorant here on Ascent. My name is Upmind, joined here by Sir Waltham. And Mr. Waltham, once again, we have seen a tight series so far.
Yeah, I mean, 8-13 for each of these teams. It's kind of been mirrored score lines between the two of them. Lotus going in favor of Aimdroid. It's going to be Hyperspike taking the opposite map there in that Haven pick. And now we're just going to be diving right into it, saving everybody a little bit of time, getting this show on the road as we are now looking at what these teams are locking into. And so far, we've only seen 2 players lock in for sure. It's going to be Slotsid locking in that Omen, Goose on the opposite side on the Yoru. I believe Goose was using that Yoru on Haven, so does make sense, does check out that they'd be at least a little bit more of a comfortable option for them.
Yeah, and it's a bit of an awkward change coming out from Epic here, because I'm just like, it's just awkward seeing, of course, Jofu going over to the Sentinel. Ace White was the one playing the Senti a little bit earlier. Apple was the one playing the controller earlier too, and now he's the one playing Initiator. XCS still sticking to his role, but seeing things getting thrown around this much, it's just gotta come down to, again, how raw of a map Ascent is, how more traditional of a map this is. Everyone kind of has that preconceived notion on how to play this map already. Everyone has played this map plenty of times in rank, and they just have their comfortability. So you can kind of see that where that comes in with Appa. He's picking KO. KO specifically on this map, very powerful on that defensive side, because of how tight the entries are and because of how close the entries actually are to the center of sight. One little audio cue is all you need for KO to immediately respond with his utility, and for him to get a lot of mileage out of it, because at the end of the day, with how small of a map also Ascent is, rotations are easier for you to pull, a little bit faster for you to pull. So as long as you have like a grenade, as long as you have like a molly or something like that, just to cover a main choke point, that's all that you need to delay time for your teammates to get there. So all I'm trying to say here is that for Aimdroid, they're keeping things very simple with a KO pick, like from the one from Appa and like the one from Janu, where these two players, Janu and Appa, are set to have some huge performances in this game if they can truly take advantage of their individualistic mindset.
Yeah, one thing I do like, just kind of given the nature of these teams and how much they tend to switch it up a lot, is that they're both going information gathering type initiators. You know, KO has that knife to gather the information with, Sova has the recon dart, Fade has the eye. Gonna be a lot of information potential here, although it seems like we're just gonna be seeing a little bit more of a blunt confrontation right down mid. Market going to be smoked off that Cypher trip, preventing that super aggression from coming up towards that Omen. However, shots still being traded. XCS and Appa getting their starting picks.
Yeah, Appa over towards Cat, getting his frags. As now Goose sitting from above, not able to get any picks, and that is perfect. Beautiful stuff from Goose, backing out, regrouping with his teammates. He has 3 teammates next to him. 4 players alive here for Aimdroid, trying to collect their efforts here into the site. As here comes the drop, here comes Slotsid able to get the first. XCS, he's gonna go down too, but XCS somehow still not dead. Slotsid finally takes him down, but that took way too long. This one-on-one now, Goose, Slotsid, it is very risky here for Goose. Goose down to 44 HP. Oh my goodness, he's still holding. Slotsid, perfect timing. Perfect timing from Slotsid, coming around right when that defuse was about to go down.
Yeah, perhaps building up a bit of confidence in that Yoru that they could hold that diffuse for just a little bit longer. Not going to be the case for Goose. Superior play there. It was looking like a checkered board once the fight fully broke out on A, with, you know, Aimdroid and then Hyperspike all alternating those kind of kills back and forth. Very high-paced Valorant in those instances. And now we're going to be seeing Hyperspike bundle up, getting ready for what's looking like a B set up for the push. It's going to be the knife going out. Don't think it scanned that Sova, but is going to be giving at least a little bit of information. And from the high rope, Shatter diving in with a nice hedge. CS.
Shatter still has a whole lot more work to do here if he continued on that line of sight back over towards spawn, but instead he's going to hold it down. Man advantage here for Hyperspike, and realistically speaking, we should be seeing aim spike or excuse me, aim droid here go for the exits, not actually go for this retake here. As you know, should be focusing on the eco a little bit. The pistols, this is such a tight site for you to really get through on, and you can see that effect a little bit. They are able to get 2 kills out of it, but at the end of the day, that's not really going to affect the economy the way that you really want to. Still 2 kills. 2 kills is more than, of course, than what we had earlier for this team, so can't exactly complain too much, right? Let's go into that next round. Aim droid, aim spike, hyper droid. Oh man, I'm losing it. 2-0 here going towards the side of Hyperspike, as this time we are seeing a default setup from Hyperspike. It is going to be attacks going throughout the whole map.
Looking for the knife. Perhaps from Appas, throwing it far in away.
It's not going to find anything in B.
Yeah, this does not get the detection. Instead, it's going to be just a little bit more of a slower tempo coming in from Hyperspike as they get nestled, and they are aware of those perhaps more potent weapons coming out from Aim Droid. Aim Droid not going to get to use them right away, though. Cypher Cam, I believe, looked away at just the right moment. Hyperspike is going to be aware of it. Instead, they're going to be funneling themselves out away from Market, and at least the Jet will be regrouping in that Garden Fountain area.
Look at those positionings from Android, though, for real quick. You had all 4 players in spawn for about a split second there.
Cage trigger.
And they have backed out. They have spread themselves out a little bit thinner, but this has now kept so many players over towards that A area. And now there's only 1 in B. There's only 1 here. It's going to have to come down to the 1 once again. It is XCS behind the wall. Not able to do much, and he gets overwhelmed. Now hold on. Interaction over towards the mid side. There goes the clone. Did they see the Cypher? No, they didn't. Goose, he's going for a gut check, but a nasty surprise on the other side. Dinky, still with full HP, still with a chance at a frag. Oh my goodness. Aim Droid thought that they might have had a chance on a couple of those frags, but it is the pistol of Dinky to come out big. It is the lockdown setup on B to hold on to things here for Hyperspike. And now this is just starting to become a bit of a head scratcher. We have not seen a single round of really substance here from Aim Droid. Yes, we are 3 rounds in, but that rifle round just does not give us that confidence.
Certainly, and Aim Droid not going to be walking away super confident in this 4th round specifically. It's just going to be Sheriffs and light armor across the board. Another knife going to be going in deep potentially here from Appas. No, instead going to be keeping it closer to the chest. And I'm not seeing a lot of stacking from Aim Droid yet. I mean, we're seeing them all on B site, but not necessarily all focusing down those same angles. It's going to be perhaps the nervousness, the nerves coming through. They're going to be repositioning, adjusting themselves a little bit here. And they really need to just try to be taking those 1 or 2 kills, getting a rifle in hand if they can, really start rebuilding themselves for that potential, well, for that inevitable round 5.
And again, you just got to give it up to the caution here of Hyperspike. They know that they're up against a real weird buy, to say the very least. But that is, oh my goodness, that knife reveals 3-4 players there from the Hyperspike side. But that is basically everything there for this team, unless Ace White has something to say about it, and indeed he does. Big pick coming up from Ace White. Now he has a rifle to hold on to this cross. And the tripwire is still set up. The Cypher still is alive, so they could still technically use this trip for Ace White to try to get a frag. Ace White gets the 1. Trip is there. Ace gets another. What on earth just happened? Aim Droid just combined 4 frags out of thin air, and now it's Janu in a 1-on-2. Janu has a chance. Janu gets 1. Now it's a 1-on-1. Planning behind the boxes. Appa looking to go around the corner. Now he's detected. Now he can't use. No, excuse me. Now his opponent's detected. It's KO versus KO. It's shots on shots, and it's Appa shots that connects onto Janu, and it is finally going to be Aim Droid with a round. Aim Droid, barely anything to work with in this round, and my goodness, they made it work.
I feel like just a little bit of sloppiness coming in there from Hyperspike. We saw Shatter check that corner and didn't quite check it good enough. They turned immediately towards that B main to continue their press, but gets taken out a split second after they realize, oh wait, there was somebody there. Gonna be costing them perhaps a little bit too dearly in that situation. You want to keep as many members up as you can. And now the tide's kind of turning around a little bit for AIM Droid. They're not going to have necessarily the most comfortable econ. One member going to be above that 3,000 count. Nice flash coming in early.
Look at this take. Goose getting overwhelmed immediately. XCS, they know he's here, and that's the site. Hyperspike. They have chosen B quite a few times so far in this half, and not a single time has this B setup gone awry in the early round. Yes, they may choose to go B later on in the round, and yes, that might go incorrectly. But Hyperspike, they pick that B site, and they're able to overwhelm the targets there pretty consistently. That is going to be another round going under their belts. Appa, alongside Ace White, has no chance. So again, it is that effect there from Hyperspike, where in the early round, they have been able to get the spaces that they want. They have been able to get the kills that they want. AIM Droid, give them a chance to recoup, and that's really where we can see them shine at the moment. That's where we've seen them shine so far here on Ascent with the little sample size that we have. 4-on-2 again, these 4 players, it's not like their economy is perfect, but it is a super difficult mountain to climb a little bit here for AIM Droid. They weren't able to get more ground on it a little bit here, but what I am really worried about is the fact that they just bought that last round. They are buying once again. Hyperspike wins this round. All of their cash is basically going to max. AIM Droid is going to be facing basically a perfect Hyperspike for the rest of this half.
Not an enviable position if you're on the side of AIM Droid. You really have to kind of rely on your wits, on your smarts. And I'm not sure we've been seeing either of these teams, to be fair, necessarily playing each other brilliantly outside of the mind game. We're just seeing some very competitive matches, so you'd like to have any inch you can take. Recon Bolt is going to be giving away the Jet's positioning, but not going to matter. A nice headshot, or excuse me, a nice shotgun blast coming in from Goose. Jianu going down, the teleport out immediately, so things are equalized a little bit here. But it's going to have to go down to that retake that always seems to struggle for both these teams.
Right, and it's not like these guys have the perfect utility to get back into this one. However, Appa on the front side, not able to find Shatter. Big kill coming out from that mid side. Goose still only has a shotgun and decided to dimensional drift with said shotgun. Doesn't happen now for this team. Shatter takes out Jofu. Hyperspike with the 5th round for them here. And again, that one was just huge in the fact that AIM Droid, they might be struggling here to buy a little bit. However, 3 kills coming out from that last round. Now basically a full loss bonus. And they're not exactly going to be, you know, at a disastrous position. It's just the fact that they're not going to have their full suite of utility, and they're facing a team that again is ironclad.
I mean, we were kind of discussing, you know, the potentials of how these teams were going to be looking on this Ascent map, and Hyperspike right now just looking like the kings of the castle. Really very little resistance seeming to be put up by AIM. Although now it seems like AIM playing a little bit more defensively, allowing themselves to perhaps just get activated upon. They are still going to be trying to hold this mid section, but that's not going to be where the first injuries go. It's going to be onto those A rafters instead.
And Hyperspike now, they can just kind of stretch their feet a little bit. They had full mid control. They had eyes over onto B main. They had eyes on A main real quick. And now they have exactly what they need. They can burst into wherever they want. Now they decide to go into Cat, and it all works out. Every single interaction works. Dinky in the mid side works out. Shatter in the middle of sight works out. Every single one-on-one, they're working out for Hyperspike and AIM Droid in what might be their final showing here in the Charity Championship. Not exactly showing their brightest colors, the colors that they've been showing throughout this game, which has been really the aggression. I mean, if we're being so for real, AIM Droid, really where they've been able to capitalize here has been in the early round, has been in sort of the I guess you could say aggression, but it is that organized chaos. It is the buddy system that they've been able to incorporate in the early rounds consistently on these last 2 maps. Maybe contributed to the fact that we were looking at 3 sites and seeing a buddy system is a little bit rarer. It's a little bit more of a throw off. But the fact that we haven't seen it a single time, a single attempt at that aggression from Android, just goes to show, again, a little bit of that fear potentially that Hyperspike has set, the potential that Hyperspike has shown throughout this game.
Oh, I would totally agree. I feel like we're already kind of seeing the timidness from Aimdroid. Like, they've touched the stove one too many times and now their hands are burned and they've learned not to do that, or perhaps they think that they shouldn't press on with that, whether that be the method or you just touch the stove in maybe a different way with a glove on, or, you know, with a spatula or something like that. The analogy's getting away from me, but the point is they are now modifying their gameplay to fit to Hyperspike, and I'll be sincere, I've not seen too many teams that change their game plan and it works out better for them.
Get this impressive from Shatter, and that's even better. Hold on now. There's that switch up that we were looking for from Aimdroid. Double peek going into A main alongside the wine peak, and you still have a man up from above. 2 men spotted here on A, though. That might be the tell for these players to start to rotate, but they're waiting for Dinky. They're waiting for Dinky to get into the back lines, to cut off the rotations, to cut off the site. Dinky, can he take the site all on his lonesome? But oh my goodness, what a shot there from Ace White. But Jofu abandoning the B site for now, but this A site is going to be all the action. Ace White has 0 chance here with 20 HP.
30 seconds left.
It is just a 2-on-2 though. Technically, even strength. But these Aimdroid players are working with basically nothing.
Ace White in a very tedious spot, has to be very careful. Can go down what seems like the lightest gust of wind with 21 HP. Trying to throw in the paranoia. Not sure it hits too much in there. Sloth not quite able to get the connections. Excuse me, Crispy not quite able to get the connections onto Sloth. Shadow's going to be waiting for Ace White, anticipating the multiple routes there. And again, it's another situation. The spike goes down, and what's your plan of attack? Do you have one? You can't flood them with utility in those situations where you've already spent your duelist or initiator trying to get the site defended. Another tough spot for Aimdroid. Hyperspike really running the boards.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, you can contribute it a little bit here to, you know, to potentially the, you know, the comp a little bit. Again, they're just running out of that utility in the later round for them to really burst back into these sites. I mean, they're missing a Tejo. They're missing potentially a Vice for that lockdown potential. You know what I mean? It is a little bit tough. But Ace White, you got to be kidding me with that tracking. But John was able to get both kills out of that somehow. That is yet another burst into the B site from Hyperspike that has gone swimmingly. 3 players remaining here for Aimdroid, all on the poles, all on different extremities. But it's not exactly impossible. This trip is going to kind of tick off the KO real quick. And look at the outside. There's barely anyone actually looking over this outside position. It is all just utility, collecting this information, and even Dinky getting himself the one-on-one that he wanted. Because Dinky retakes B main, now it's the layering. Dinky peeks out, then a player from site peeks out. XCS making a chance for himself, but it doesn't happen. Again, my goodness, Hyperspike. In these post plants, they look impenetrable, and Aimdroid just does not have the options to break through.
I feel like Hyperspike is now fully leaning into the bully perspective here. And right now, we saw that Jet get super aggressive immediately onto site. They pretty much made direct contact with the ground, on the plantable ground, as soon as possible. And Aimdroid, sure, they tried to use the Sobol to stifle that a little bit. They tried to slow things down, but they just weren't quite ready for the catch. And now I'm starting to wonder, does that affect the mechanics? Does that affect the mentality, the individual play of these players at that level?
That individuality needs to come out here, and for Aimdroid specifically, because look at these setups. You have 1 man on the front side over towards B, 1 man on the front side over towards Cap, 1 man on the front side over towards A. And it's the same thing here now. One-on-one after one-on-one, and there's the individuality that I was speaking of. One-on-ones coming through, but the second one not actually coming out to fruition. Ace White with a couple of players flash, has a couple of opportunities to add a frag, but it does not happen. Goose has a smoke in front of him, does have a flash to utilize, but he's not going for it. Instead, he's just going for the picks onto one. And Goose, he's held in, but he's not going to get picked down. This is still an opportunity technically here for AimDroid just to get a couple of picks, but that's really all it is. The rifles here gives them a little bit of potential, but we just have not seen these retakes go really right here for AimDroid. And indeed, it's happening again. No utility to burst them back into sight. The crossfires from Hyperspike consistent. 9-1 is going to be our scoreline for sure coming out of this one, regardless of what Goose does. And Janu, even fully flashed, takes out Goose. 9-1. Where does the economy of AimDroid take them? Where do the strats of AimDroid take this team? Because simply put, we just have not seen different results regardless of approach.
It's tough, right? Because you feel like you can't be as aggressive against this team, whether it's because they're just out mechanically you, or whether their set plays are just a little strong, which I don't feel like we're even seeing too many of them. Some nice lineups, but nothing of particular combination here. It's just Hyper is running it right onto site, taking the spike basically wherever they like. Sure, maybe they'll leave one or two lurking, but if you get the one, congratulations, you got 4 more to deal with that are hot on your heels and pummeling their way on the point.
There's that aggression that I was talking about a little bit earlier that we might need to see from AimDroid. Double peek out from the mid side, really triple, quadruple peek into the mid side. 2 coming in from Cat, 2 coming in from that mid side. But Hyperspike, this is really their misstep here. Not enough info gathering here on this A site for them to take advantage of what was an empty A site as they were in the middle of main. However, because of the scramble here from AimDroid after the early peaks, they've only left 1 over towards B. What?
Oh, Shatter taken down by Jofu as they land on those abilities. Jofu almost caught out with their abilities. Ace White pulling back some kills, and that is essential. And now maybe we see a little bit of sloppiness come out from Hyperspike. They have to get the spike and they have to plant it somewhere. Numbers advantage is huge for AimDroid. Can they make this work in their favor, make this a little bit more competitive than an 11-1.5? And so far, Apis, not a great start to that promise.
And Ace White, 47 HP. Cool. Finally. One is able to rise from the rubble, and it is none other than Ace White. Ace White coming in with a 4K, and it could not have been more important than that play right there. Ace White taking away the 2 players who were on a red carpet towards B. If those 2 kills don't come out there, they pretty much weren't going to happen. You would have the buddy system, you would have the crossfires over into B, and overall, Hyperspike, they have finally come into a little bit of a crossroads, come at a crossroads here, but it's not very replicable. Again, they won the early battles. They're not going to be disheartened by that by any means, but this is the last attacking round. If there's any time to build up a little bit of momentum, it is right now. AimDroid, here comes Goose, front side, first peek, first contact, not able to get anything from it, but there's still 2 on B. XCS is going to be that first contact. However, nobody from Hyperspike is actually peeking out into sight, and look at the util here for AimDroid. They have everything they need to hold things down, and Hyperspike might just be evading the disastrous scenario on B. They're still poking and prodding on A. They're still trying to pull a rotation or 2, but it doesn't seem like it's happening just yet. AimDroid not moving from B, and Hyperspike still contemplating their next move.
Drawing out those Omen smokes just to block out Cubby. We saw the KO holding there for a second, making sure that Courtyard was not a rotation option for the attacking Hyperspike. But instead, as that smoke goes up, it will eventually clear, but the rotation's already coming through. That attackers spawn. Now be looking to perhaps hit A with a little bit more of that aggression. Not sure if they saw any of the Cypher utility coming through. It's going to be Ace White throwing in the paranoia, able to capitalize off of the 3 kills going in their way. And again, another situation where they are up big. They just need to hold it, maintain it, and let the clock do most of the damage to Hyperspike.
They got it. No, they finally got it. AimDroid It's not like this A site
10
has
seconds
been, you know,
One
has been
enemy remaining.
impenetrable. It's not like this A
Spike
site
down A.
has been easy for them, but also, I mean, just thinking of how many times this Hyperspike team has been able to take sites freely. I mean, mostly it's been over towards that A site, but I was looking for that change of pace.
Switching
We were looking
sides.
for sort of that test of strength coming out of that last round. And we saw two different looks from Aim Droid. We saw a retaking Aim Droid, we saw a holding Aim Droid, and we really cleared up a couple of questions, a couple of concerns that we might have had for Aim Droid throughout that half. However, 9 rounds later, it might just be a little too late. But let's see here, folks. Second half, Hyperspike and Aim Droid both already qualified to the Continental Charity Championships coming tomorrow. However, Hyperspike, Aim Droid looking to see who comes out on top in NA.
And the key here for AimDroid, you gotta anticipate, has to be how they take the lessons they learned in the first half and applied it to Hyperspike, and how much Hyperspike leans on the similar play style of previous. If they're able to allow themselves to kind of have the same read, have the same pattern, and be broken in the same ways, we're going to be seeing a less successful Hyperspike, although a great round 13 win would put them in a brilliant spot to carry on this half and essentially the map.
Exactly. It would just guide them to the map. It would guide them to the series. But let's see, folks. It might all just come down to the... I miss my little Sullivan saying this. The all-important pistol round. As here we go. I miss that kid, man. Jofu, all the way over towards bottom. And it's not like you've been a good fit though, Mr. Sir Waltham. You've done a good job. Big props to you, my friend. But here
I appreciate that.
No problem. Here we are, folks. 3 players covering up this A side here for this Hyperspike side, but there's no real watch into main. There's no real hold of the A side itself, and the job was just made that whole lot more difficult. Ace White covering up Cat with a smoke.
Yeah, it's going to be AimDroid immediately teleporting into site using their
Spike
abilities.
planted.
It's going to be Jofu taken down first. That is the garden opened up. Going to be Ace White. Oh, hit with the paranoia. Unfortunate timing there, as they are not able to hold down for the rest of their team. Now it's going to be this tree surge. Gotta anticipate as that door soon to be broken. Freddy from on high does get the one onto Goose. Crucial here. Was a matter of time, but time not enough on AimDroid's side.
Not enough. It is going to be that defuse from Hyperspike, and that is yet another idea there from AimDroid going a little bit awry. But you can't really blame them. Again, on a pistol round, you are trying to find those small gaps. You are looking for the lurks a little bit to maybe do a job, but maybe put a little bit too much stock in it. Basically, like you don't, again, you just want to see that convergence back into sight in a timely manner, and it just does not happen. Here for Hyperspike, though, we are seeing a team that is already on top really establish themselves even more here. The rifle advantage, the gun play advantage is going to be in the hands of Hyperspike this next round, even though we do have some guns in the hands of AimDroid. It is just SMGs. It is just that short range gun instead. Hyperspike, though, playing very disconnected, playing conservative, playing away from this A site. It is going to be advantage for AimDroid going into the rest of this round, coming out from the site. This is going to be huge. Can they take advantage of this? Huge kill coming out onto Janu. This is the opportunity for AimDroid. They put so much money into this round. If they lose this one, they're going to be going against full rifles with barely anything to work with.
It's going to be very tough. AimDroid so far in a very good spot. Man up. Ooh, the Shatter able to catch Goose. Barely hanging off. Freddy, however, gets traded out, and Shatter.
2 left.
Dinky both doing their work to pull it back. Shatter 1 HP, but that's not going to work when it comes to a Sheriff. So slow to fire. He gets the 1. Ace White just needs to hold. Doesn't. Oh, Ace White able to get on top of the generator shot. Excellent performance coming through. They needed to win that one. So far, AimDroid successfully held off death on this map.
I can't believe it! Ace White! Pulling this team out from 6 feet under. You already had a little bit of dirt on that grave. It was over! It was over! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's incredible. That's incredible. AimDroid keeping this game going on the very brink. They were supposed to be the ones facing the rifles. They were supposed to be the ones with the sheriffs, with the classics, with the marshals. But no, instead, we are seeing seeing an aim droid team looking for a comeback, looking to make this final entertaining. Come on, folks. This is what we came to watch. We came to watch some entertaining Valorant. Maybe not excellent, maybe not world-class Valorant, but folks, it's entertaining to say the very least. It is grudge. It is a grudge. It is bragging rights, isn't it?
It certainly feels a little bit more personal than just bragging rights. But here we go again. AimDroid in another great situation where they've laid themselves up in numbers, and we always know Hyperspike struggling a little bit, just as most every team does. Oh, but a nice shot from Shatter. You can never count out Shatter.
I guess not. I guess not. Shatter, different angle. Different opportunity. Had the headshot ready to go. Not able to get it. His location's fully revealed. Recon Bolt has him taken away. Janu, this job's going to be real difficult to say the very least. And not only that, but he's been exposed a little bit. 1-on-3 with this Marshall. Janu, I wish you the best of luck, but we might have a lot more Valorant to be played in this map.
Quite a bit more game left after this. The Marshal might be looking to deal some economic damage, though, if they're able to pull 1 or 2 members. Apis, XCS, Asa White could potentially go down here with one well-placed headshot from the Marshal. Might just be looking to die to Spike, trying to avoid giving away any benefit to the opposition. Oh, but does get the one. Oh, the right click was looking good. XCS just a little too well armored, however. Going to be walking away with 2 Phantoms for the side of AimDroid. So still, excellent round for them. They've still managed to hold themselves above water for the time being.
Oh boy. Oh boy. It is just awesome that we're seeing this type of game here. From the first half that we watched, there was legitimately no thought in the back of my mind that we would be seeing this entertaining of a second half. But after that test of strength, I was just telling you, I just wanted to see a little glimpse of hope from AimDroid. Just that layer of adaptation, that layer of fight from this team. Because really, it's the small things that can separate these teams, because we don't really have that high end of the skill. But here comes Shatter. Shatter, not able to find a shot. Dinky walking into the cage, but not able to find anything out of it. Nobody left here on B, but here comes the burst potentially. Look at the quick rotation. Oh my goodness! Janu getting taken out right from behind the smoke. But I was going to say that flash burst was going to be huge from this team, but it does not happen. Trade comes back from Shatter. Shatter with a big frag, but he needs a whole lot more. It's 2 remaining here for the defensive side. There's no flank happening. So Hyperspike opting to take their time here. Sloth Sid alongside Shatter, looking to come in from different angles, but they are wasting their smokes here. They are wasting these pieces of utility here, but for good reason. They are not looking for the interaction. They are not looking for the round. They are looking for a couple of frags. They're looking to make the job just that little bit more difficult for AimDroid going forward, but there is still so much more Valorant to be played. Hyperspike nowhere near match point just yet, even though we saw ourselves at a 9-3 half, even though we saw ourselves at a 2-on-1 with a player down to 5 HP. My goodness.
Looking great from the side of AimDroid. Hyperspike not quite able to get too much there, just the 1 on exit on top of the 2 kills it cost AimDroid to get onto site. So now things have kind of flipped fortunes a little bit. You're going to be able to hold on to the op, courtesy of Shatter on that jet if you are the side of Hyperspike. But where do you post up? We're seeing a lot of utility just being dumped by AimDroid to try to get onto site and then holding it comfortably once again. I feel like it's another story of, you know, maybe the post plants looking extremely potent for whichever team is able to get it and hold on to it for the time being. Now looking at both of these teams lining up, A main being held by Shatter on that op here, Upmind.
Right, it's a difficult spot for Shatter to be in, though. He doesn't have the fate that he usually has next to him. Ooh. But that's all that Shattered wanted. Pick one and leave. Make the job just that little bit easier for your teammates. Well done, Shatter. Can he go for it again? Shatter looking for a shot. He finds the angle. He finds the pixel. How does he find Goose there? 5v3.
Has to play very carefully while they get the spike down, but a nice equalize from Apis and Crispy. they look to now just hold this spike. Any amount of time they can burn off the clock is going to put Hyperspike in even more disarray. Hyperspike has to try to recover that.
Hiding.
And there's the guns. There's the guns. They've upgraded their guns. Here comes Dinky swinging around the corner. Appa from behind. This is just going to be it, isn't it? Janu in a one-on-one, looking for a single bullet. Appa from around the corner closes it out again. Shatter opens up the round with 2 clean ones. Opens up the round with a 5v3. And how on earth has AimDroid run that round again?
I feel like if you're Shatter, if I'm Shatter, I'm definitely tilted at my team. You get the 2 shots there, and finally it seems like you've managed to get AIM kind of in the bag there. You've managed to put AimDroid a little bit in their place and make things a little bit more chaotic in a way that they're not necessarily dictating the tempo of. But then during that setup phase, they're able to just collapse and get those kills back into their favor, into at least an even 2v2, given all the weapons in hand. It's gonna be a little bit unnerving for Hyperspike. What a nice start.
I can't with this. Jofu taking out Shatter, and A side's gonna be empty because of it. Early interaction over in B just gives the info away, apparently. Or at least that's what Hyperspike thought. It's gonna be 4-on-5 for the rest of this round. AimDroid. This is probably the most comfortable that they've looked in any post plant.
And you can't neglect who went down. It's Shatter. That's one of your big gunners there. One of the more mechanically enthusiastic players, able to get those early kills more reliably based on KZ alone. But Gianni trying to put me in my place when I say that and trying to exchange outslots it, swinging from the door as well. A nice retake from Hyperspike. They're going to hold it this time around.
I can't believe it. Again, this was the round for AimDroid. This was the situation for AimDroid that they looked the most impressive on. Consistently on these post plants, they were down 1 man, they were down 2 men, they were down consistently. And yet somehow in that round, Hyperspike is able to break through. What is the answer? Where is the consistency here for AimDroid? It cannot just come down to these dramatic rounds. It cannot just come down to these hero plays. You have a lot more Valorant to be played if that's the case. You need 6 miracles for you guys to win this one out. That just cannot happen. Let's see what happens here in this next round with Goose. Trying to break through. We have a bit of a different setup once again. This time, the op. Not the op this time. Yes, it is the op actually. Shatter does have the operator in hand. Back over towards the mid side, but usually we see that op over in A main. The fade this time alongside the Omen, and this time they're utilizing a lot more util for them to try to kind of drain out these players from the A side.
And I wonder if AimDroid are kind of playing this a little bit more slow, a little bit less util dumpy, to try to perhaps get into the mind of Hyperspike, or because they are genuinely trying to change up the game in a way that they can't necessarily, that their opponents can't necessarily anticipate. Although it seems like Hyperspike not too bothered, not changing up their positionings all that much. Again, we're not seeing any full holds onto A. A lot of kit going to be on B, however. It's going to be Gianni left in a very tough spot as they are revealed. Doesn't matter, XCS gets taken down.
A lot more work to do here, though. Janu still lurking. Shatter's here, too. Hyperspike finally getting drowned out of sight a little bit. It does work out for this team, for AimDroid, to at least get a little bit more comfortability here in the middle of the site. They have no ultimates, and neither does Hyperspike. It's all going to have to come down to the utility, which Hyperspike barely has any utility remaining. It's going to have to come down to the raw battles. Here comes the peaks. Goose doesn't find anyone just yet, but Goose is from behind. There goes Goose, and there's the insurance option. Goose was looking for that this whole round, and it's not like the util was needed. It's not like the battle on site was needed. It was all on one.
That was just an overwhelmed situation, and not in the, oh, they overwhelmed us with grenades or frags or flashes or mollies, anything like that. It was, there is everybody from the team of AimDroid on site. We need to push there. Every other angle be damned. And that's exactly what Goose was willing to take advantage of. Comes from that B main angle, swings around behind, waits patiently for the 2 that are in smoke from that ledge side, and is able to get the kills that they need. The dagger in the back works to supreme effect there.
Jofu, this is gonna be a big off to give up. He's gonna get the first shot. No pistol upgrade. No, he is going for the pistol upgrade. No, but what? He just goes in for the classic kills instead. Jofu, yes, gives up the operator, but he knew that he had a job to do there. He heard a whole lot of footsteps over towards the B side, and all of his teammates are over towards A. I think the math just works out where you want to keep those footsteps on that B side. You want to let your teammates go right into A. And exactly, that's what happened. So at this point, Hyperspike ran out of options a little bit. They're still looking for that one-on-one between Shatter and Appa. And that one actually works out. So, sweat off the brow a little bit. But Aim Droid, once again, they are going for pretty inconsistent win options, to say the very least. That pick over in that mid side coming out from Jofu, or that play coming out from Jofu, you just cannot expect, once again, going forward, you cannot expect A to be completely empty going forward from this Hyperspike side. This was just a pistol. This was just an eco play. Again, this Hyperspike team has been pretty punctual, but Aim Droid, they come in with the gift of the gab, the gift of the jab. They have what it takes right now to really have that underdog mentality, to just one play is all it needs for some of these rounds.
Mind, I'm going to out myself here. When I saw the first map or two, I was thinking, you know, Ace White seems like a reliable player, but not a standout player. But now we're looking at the scoreboard, standing way head and tails above the rest of their team. We were talking about earlier, you mentioned, you know, when it comes in the context of Shatter, you put those duelists in the hand of the people who are most mechanically inclined to deliver. And I think Ace White is doing very well to prove that wrong. Delivering, I believe it was 21 and 10, something along those lines, but a very nice KD line for somebody who you might not expect to be on the front lines getting those immediate kills and trades.
And really what I'm worried about is sort of the early setups. Hyperspike not depending on that KO. And before I was saying how good KO can be on the defensive side in terms of just stopping these takes. But it's not like Aim Droid. They've been fully investing on these takes. They have been half-hearted. They have been lurking. They have been trying to pick and prod a little bit, try to kind of fake things out with a single contact with a couple of other players on the other side of the map. So it's not like, you know, it's not like we're seeing the easy dynamic here for the KO. It's just we haven't seen any opportunities for Janu, for Appas to be able to react on that defensive side, to try to hold off that choke point, to try to stifle these late round takes, to try to stifle potentially some of these rotations. Here we go, folks. On this A site, it is going to be completely empty. Again, none of that effect that I was talking about earlier with the KO. Nobody on site to hold up that choke point. It's just going to be 3 players waltzing into this A site completely for free. As Hyperspike, they have 4 players surrounding this site. It is 5 on 5.
This is shades of Lotus to me. I feel like we are seeing a very familiar story here, but Aim Droid just comes in and dominates. Shatter gonna try to walk away. 31 HP, has that off in hand. Does get taken down. That will be the market completely broken for the side of Hyperspike. And you know, Aim Droid, I thought they weren't gonna make it past round 8. If I'm being sincere, but absolutely looking within arm's reach of equalizing this match in terms of round wins. So great. So pleased with the turn we've seen Aim Droid take.
I'm just, again, I'm just in a position now where I really, like, I'm just intrigued. I'm just intrigued on what the response is here from Hyperspike, because again, it just seems like they have the right idea. It's just Aim Droid again and again. They have these one-off plays that just seems to work. That play over in Cat, that's not consistent. You can't trust that every time, but if you're able to do it once, it works. Aim Droid able to get 2 frags off of this one. Hyperspike once again, not much of a chance off of just the pistols. It was a decent attempt, but it's not going to happen for now. 2 players remaining here for Hyperspike in this round to give Aim Droid potentially their 11th, to tie the game up at 11 to 11. Again, this game was not just 9-3. This game was 10-3. The pistol round was won by Hyperspike, and yet stifled in their tracks. Aim Droid able to win that round right after, able to stomp all over Hyperspike's defense, really make any site theirs. Which well, I mean, not really. The story of this half was really Aim Droid, yes, getting onto the sites that they so choose, but having a bit of trouble, going down 2 players, going down 3 players. but the individual efforts, the heroes coming out from this team, I mean, to be honest, the individual effort has made the story for this team in the second half.
Yeah, looking fantastic. I mean, we have seen kind of the extreme turnaround of Aim Droid here, and now we're gonna be looking to tie things up. They could take the lead here for the first time, I believe, all map. I don't think we saw them win the first round or two on pistol first half, but an excellent opportunity for them to kind of flip the script. And then at that point, you're feeling so comfortable on top of the fact that your opponent will likely be broke for match point.
Cage triggered.
Now we're there, both of these teams on the edge. This is all of the weight in the world on Hyper Spear now. Hyper Spike, excuse me, loses out this round, and they have basically no chance here. And look at this attack. 2 players stuck in spawn.
Oh, no.
Hyper Spike realizing the depth of the situation that they're in, and my goodness, have they pushed the situation to the max. 3 players pushing B main, and now they continue to kind of push up that mid side. However, Appa alongside XCS still trying to push up that mid side. They do get the trades that they want. Sloth Sid, Shatter, 1-on-2, stomps all the way up A main, and oh, this might be the one-on-one that XCS wanted. He might have it. Shatter, oh, what a shot from Shatter. XCS had the stars aligned. He gets the win onto Shatter, and he's down to a one-on-one with a player where he knows exactly where he is. But instead, the all-important round for Hyper Spike is won, and they are now 1 away from taking away North America's Corporate Charity Championship.
I was so disappointed when I saw that Cypher Cage come up, and it was Goose left all on his lonesome against, I believe it was Gianu and Shatter up in attackers spawn. That Cypher, I couldn't tell whether it was Crispy's own cage, although I think it was, cut him off from his team, unable to provide any relief. And you know, maybe if that doesn't go differently.
Here comes Goose.
On site, blind trying to take.
That's where he is.
Take out Dinky, doesn't get it, but does have the follow-up from Asmus.
Right, at this point, it really is just Hyper Spike utilizing that one player. Yes, they had the follow-up, but my goodness, Goose does it all. The heroes. We've been talking about him from Aim Droid, but do they come out here for Hyper Spike? It has been, at least in this round, Goose. But let's see what happens. Goose with another frag. Shatter collecting another one. Back down to the 2-on-2. Sloth Sid, huge frag. 1-on-2 for Ace White. He's been a hero so far, but can he finish his story? Ace White swimming in the deep waters now, escaping the smoke, doesn't see anyone, but he walks right into the crosshairs of both players. Hyper Spike have done it. Sloth Sid and Shatter complete the round. And what has come down to the absolute brink, Hyper Spike and Aim Droid complete a tight grand finals, and Hyper Spike are your charity champions.
Oh man, and if you're on the side of Aim Droid, you are crashing down after that massive adrenaline rush of, what was it, close to 9 rounds win in close to a row, I think. A fantastic match from Aim Droid, but Hyper Spike just looking a little bit sharper, able to compose themselves at the 11th hour, essentially where they needed it. No better performance I could have imagined between these two teams.
No, and folks, we do have to rush things a little bit. We have a lot of productions going on right now. These corporate charity championships, let's get real, they're vast. We have Marvel Rivals coming up in a couple of minutes, in about 15 minutes, but let's get a couple of final thoughts out there. First and very foremost, that was way closer of a BO3 than I had first expected. I expected some true colors to be shown in that first map for us to already see which team would come out successful, would come out as the victors at the end of the day. We just did not see it. Yes, we did see one team who, yes, ended up winning the whole thing, win that first map, but that did not matter. We ended up seeing a team in Hyper Spike who had to face miracle after miracle after miracle from Aim Droid, and were still able to keep that game plan steady. And not only that, but dig deep into their own strat book, into their own cheesiness. Congratulations to Goose. Congratulations to the rest of the boys. Any final thoughts here, Mr. Waltham? Mr. Sir Waltham.
Only final thoughts are, want to send out a reminder to these folks. These tournaments are for charities, so it would be remiss of me if I did not mention that Hyperspike did win this tournament for their charity of St. Jude's Children's Research Center. So a big congratulations and a big donation going over to St. Jude's as well. But no, as far as the game, as far as the inner workings go, I have nothing left to say. I'm flabbergasted. There have been a couple times where I've said something and it's gone in the exact opposite, or the monkey's paw has curled a finger up mine. So I think I'm gonna leave it here. It's been a fantastic game, a fantastic series of 3 maps.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It has been a wonderful Saturday afternoon. However, Sunday afternoon also has a whole lot of Valorant action for you guys. So of course, this was the North American Championships, but tomorrow we have Continentals. We have the Company Esports World. Oh, let's get back to it. Company Esports World Cup 2025 starting tomorrow. Semifinals, you will be seeing both of these North American representatives face off against some representatives from around the world. So stay tuned, folks. But for today, that was, if I'm not mistaken, let's see here. Let's see the exact amount of money being spread over to charity. $1,440 going over to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And we have $720 being sent over to Doctors Without Borders. So folks, congratulations to both teams. Thank you for all those participating. Thank you for Amazon Luna for supporting yet another broadcast here for CEA. And folks, we will see you all tomorrow.